Hola, soy Grok. Bienvenidos al Keep Coding Connect 2018. Hola, soy Grok. Bienvenidos al Keep Coding Connect 2018. Bienvenidos patrocinadores, ponentes, asistentes, desarrolladores, amantes de la programación, del Big Data, de los superhéroes, de los perritos calientes, de la pizza, de los refrescos y de las birras. Esta tarde tendremos varios sorteos, entradas al Héroes Comic Con Madrid y un Google Home. Atentos a las redes sociales. Y sin más dilación, Álvaro, todo tuyo. Hola, soy Grok. Bienvenidos al Keep Coding Connect 2018. Bienvenidos patrocinadores, ponentes, asistentes, desarrolladores, amantes de la programación, del Big Data, de los superhéroes, de los perritos calientes, de la pizza, de los refrescos y de las birras. Esta tarde tendremos varios sorteos, entradas al Héroes Comic Con Madrid y un Google Home. Atentos a las redes sociales. Y sin más dilación, Álvaro, todo tuyo. ¡Ya!
Hola amigos, gracias. Bailar un poco, ¿verdad? Sí, estáis un poco dormidos todavía. Venga, todo el mundo de pie. Amigos, vamos a bailar, claro que sí. Todo el mundo de pie, nos damos la mano con el de al lado, claro que sí. Y ahora, muy atentos todo el mundo, nos vamos sentando. Venga, gracias. Sí, gracias. Era para que despertarais un poco, un refresco, como la Coca-Cola, claro que sí. Bueno, ¿qué tal amigos? Bienvenidos a Keep Coding Connect, el evento gratuito sobre desarrolladores y tecnología más grande de España. Sí, se puede decir, lo puedo decir así, a voz abierta, ¿verdad que sí? Bueno, amigos, gracias a todos por venir. Hoy vamos a tener muchos speakers, muchos ponentes y va a ser un evento muy divertido. También tenemos sorteos, tengo que recordaros, sorteos, y tengo que deciros que solo podéis participar los que estéis aquí. Sorteamos 10 entradas dobles para la Héroes Comic Con Madrid. Y tenéis que seguirnos en Twitter, en Instagram, tenéis que subir la foto más original y también preguntas que serán, el primero que respondáis, pues será el ganador. Y bueno, luego más sorteos que os iré contando a lo largo de la tarde. Pero sin más dilación, voy a dejaros con una presentación de la gente de la nave, de este espacio en el que estamos hoy, aquí. Y luego va a hablar Fernando Rodríguez, que es el fundador de Keep Coding Connect. Muchas gracias.
Buenas tardes a todos y bienvenidos a este espacio singular que es en la nave de Madrid. Seguro que todos vosotros habíais conocido la nave de otros eventos, sobre todo si seguís a los grupos de desarrolladores, porque aquí han ocurrido muchos eventos y también alojamos a grupos de meetups relacionados con el tema. En fin, la nave es un espacio increíble, espectacular, como veis por sus dimensiones, pero desde septiembre del año pasado tenemos una misión y es convertir a Madrid en un hub de innovación a nivel internacional. Innovación pensado desde el punto transversal que ocupa desde el impacto social hasta las nuevas tecnologías. Y para eso queremos contar con vosotros, para que seáis los partícipes y que ese desarrollo de la ciudad de Madrid, a nivel de resolver los retos del ayuntamiento, a nivel de gestión y de los ciudadanos en su día a día, sea parte de lo que desarrolle la comunidad de desarrolladores aquí en Madrid y fuera de Madrid. Entonces, dentro de la nave tenemos diferentes actividades que alojamos todos los días y en las que estáis invitados a participar, incluso a traeros vuestros propios eventos para que ocurran aquí. Siempre seréis bienvenidos y este es un espacio principalmente vuestro. Welcome to La Nave Madrid, a space for innovation. Our mission is to push Madrid at the international landscape as a hub for innovation. And for innovators, we provide solutions for Madrid citizens and Madrid City Council. And you are invited to be part of our ecosystem and develop the city and be part of this future trending, and to stay tuned to our events and host your own events here in Madrid. Welcome to Madrid, bienvenidos a la nave, enjoy your time here in Madrid and with your event today, and hope to see you again in the future. Muchas gracias a todos y disfrutar de la tarde.
Bueno, esto no me lo esperaba. Bueno, debía esperarlo probablemente. Buenas tardes a todos. Muchas gracias por haber venido. Para quien no me conoce, mi nombre es Fernando Rodríguez, soy cofundador de Keep Coding. Y ¿qué es Keep Coding? Pues al contrario de lo que algunos puedan pensar, no es una empresa organizadora de eventos. Esto lo hacemos exclusivamente por masoquismo o por vicio o como se quiera llamar. Somos la primera aceleradora para profesionales, es decir, nosotros lo que hacemos es pillamos a nuestros alumnos que ya son héroes y les añadimos el súper. Somos la araña radioactiva, pero el mérito, por supuesto, es totalmente de nuestros alumnos. Es decir, un poco lo que hacemos es que impartimos la versión práctica y no académica de lo que en otras partes se llamaría un máster. Por lo tanto, es un placer para mí recibiros aquí en la calle Cifuentes, ¿vale? ¿Lo pilláis? ¿Esto se ha grabado? Espero que no. ¿Y cuál es el sentido del Connect? Aparte de sufrir durante los meses previos, pues es que estemos todos de nuevo en contacto. Prácticamente la totalidad de nuestros cursos se imparte a distancia, entonces de vez en cuando hay que volver a juntarse con la comunidad, con los alumnos, con las empresas que posteriormente contratan a dichos alumnos. Es decir, es un volver a encontrarse todos los años, lo llevamos ya 3 años haciéndolo consecutivamente, y de la misma forma que nosotros lo que hacemos es aportar un pequeño extra a nuestros alumnos. Ahora hay que pensar qué sería de Peter Parker sin el tío Ben o sin la tía May. Pues nada. ¿Y qué sería del Connect sin los patrocinadores? Pues de nuevo, nada. Así que quería darle las gracias a todos los patrocinadores que han hecho que esta locura en la que nos hemos metido sea posible. ¿Y cuál es el tercer y último objetivo del Connect? Pues es servir un poco como de radar, de alerta temprana para las principales tecnologías que creemos que están a punto de despuntar. Entonces, para lograr esto, hemos traído a un grupo de ¿cómo se dice en español? Speaker, bueno, eso, ¿vale? ¿De acuerdo? Que es de primerísima línea y también tenemos que agradecerles el detalle que hay gente que ha venido de muy lejos, de Atlanta, de San Francisco, Helsinki. Bueno, hay uno que vino de Madrid, ¿vale? Le ha costado un poco menos, pero aquí le tenemos también. Y gente que ha venido incluso desde Toronto, un chaval que ahora vais a conocer que a mí me ha causado una sensación, un complejo de subnormal marcadísimo, ¿vale? Ya veréis dentro de poco el porqué. Bueno, sin más, bienvenidos a todos, muchas gracias por estar aquí y espero que aprovechéis al máximo. Gracias.
Un aplauso para Fernando Rodríguez, claro que sí. Bueno, ya vamos a empezar, ya tenemos varios ponentes, vamos con el primero de ellos. Bueno, yo no soy ponente, tengo que decir que yo no me he presentado, yo soy Álvaro Márquez, ¿qué diréis? ¿Qué hace este tío presentando un evento tecnológico, no? Soy actor, presentador, humorista, vamos, que soy idiota, pero estoy aquí, porque ya todo es muy tecnológico últimamente, ¿verdad que sí? Todo ya es así. De hecho, yo el otro día me encontré a una chica, amiga mía, que me dijo que está ciberembarazada. Ojo con esto. Y dije, pero ¿estás ciberembarazada? ¿Pero de cuánto estás? Y me dijo, estoy de 4 megas ya. Sí. Digo, no uséis precauciones, ¿no? Dice, no teníamos antivirus, claro. Bueno, El primer speaker, el primer ponente de la tarde va a ser Brian McKeer. Él es fundador de Spot at Home, así que un aplauso enorme para él. Todo tuyo.
Muchas gracias. Developers. How is everything today? So I am Brian. I am one of the co-founders of Spot at Home. I need to prepare this first. And I'm going to talk from two different points of view about... What is this, man? Should be easier. Yeah. I'm going to talk about Spot at Home and how we are using technology to change the real estate market, always from the technological point of view and having the user in the middle of the problem, okay? And I'm going to do it from 2 points of view. One of them as a developer and the other one as an entrepreneur, okay? So Spot at Home, we are a 100% online mid to long-term accommodation rentals platform. And what we do is that we want to disrupt the traditional rentals model by eliminating the in-person viewings and all the lack of trust that exists in this market, okay? And for this, oh boy, we need a lot of technology. We create a lot of multimedia material that help us create very good quality listings that allow people to trust them and book directly online through our website in an instant way. So our mission, well, as I said, we want to reinvent the real estate market. We want to transform it. We want to make it transparent, instant, and exciting, love that lasts, and real estate. Because it is a very traditional market. It's a market in which nobody trusts each other. No matter you are a landlord, you're a tenant, you're a buyer, you're a seller, or you are the agency. Normally, when even there are problems, agencies step out of the process, and we want to change all that. Okay, so the traditional model works, as I said, with in-person viewing. So if you're a tenant and you're looking for accommodation, you will have to search in many websites, classifieds, or other kind of solutions that are out there. And you will have to be exposed to low-quality listings that difficult the way you can qualify your own search. So you'll have to make more visits than you should do, just to go there for 1 minute and say, I don't like it, and I discard it. Also, if you are from another country, if you're an expat, you may face a lot of problems with language or cultural barriers. And also, maybe you don't have the time or the money to make the in-person viewings yourself. Also, being a tenant, you may be exposed to very high agency fees that you have to pay for them. And in the end, if there are scams or some kind of bad situations that involve money, probably you are going to be unprotected. In the side of the landlords, what we have is that you may have to make the listings yourself. You make the photos, you upload them to these websites. You do it very fast, but the quality is very low. And in the end, if you have a big amount of properties, you will have to hire people to do this job, but also to organize all these viewings. And in the end, viewings do not guarantee occupancy. That's the return of your investment. So what we do is that we eliminate in-person viewings, attacking the problem directly in this part, and we facilitate a platform in which you can do the whole process end-to-end online. So we offer online booking. I mean, we match supply and demand in our marketplace, but also we help both landlords and tenants to connect there, to have already some communication and trust each other, and upon the signing of the contract, and after the check-in is when we transfer securely the money to the landlord. Because, for example, one thing that we do is that we capture the first month's rent through our platform. We keep it safely, and only when the tenant has arrived to the house and everything is okay and there are no complaints or any problems with the property is when we actually transfer the money to the landlord. To do this, we have to teleport people to the homes. We are eliminating the in-person viewing, so you cannot visit the properties yourself. So we have to make something here. What we do is that we visit the properties ourselves. We created the home checker, which is a new concept. It's a person of our team that goes to the properties and gathers a lot of multimedia material and also runs some verifications of quality to make sure that this listing or this property is good enough to be published on our website. If it's not, we will drop it automatically in the process. Okay? And our aim is to send these home checkers to every property we list on our website, okay? They are our first ambassadors. They are the first persons that most of our landlords see, because we don't have any more offices than the one that we have here in Madrid, with something around 200 people working there in different areas. But all the rest of people is basically located across Europe. So these home checkers are freelancers that work from their own cities. They are normally expats that have been living in that city for a few years and know very very well placed, are able to speak in public, and so on. Also, they verify the property and get a lot of multimedia material, which includes photography, includes 360 videos, panoramas, includes also first-person videos, floor plans, and more material. And for this, we need technology. So let's talk about the first thing that they get, the photography. Everybody sees that in normal classified websites you have photography. Normally the photography has very low quality because it's the landlord himself uploading these photos, and these photos are made with his phone, no light. You cannot actually understand very well the size of the room and these kind of things. So it's difficult. We try to do very, very high quality photography. We train our home checkers to do proper photography for real estate, in which you see all the perspectives correct and so on. But normally the users do not trust that because they see a photo that is so correct, so pristine, that they start thinking, this may be a scam. These guys are trying to sell me something that is actually not the truth. Okay? We try to work very hard on this, but one thing that is true for photography is that in the end they allow you to focus on details. So let's see some examples. This is a kitchen. You can see here something that looks quite correct. I mean, I could live there, whatever. But would you be able to say the distance between this and that? Or would you say that in this oven you can put a 6 kilos turkey, for example? You don't know unless your eye is kind of trained, okay? It's difficult for users to trust on that, so we need to go to the next step. Before jumping to the next step, I want to say something about how we do the photography at Spot@Home with technology. We have very strong operations. We have to streamline all those operations through technology. And we have to build a lot of back office tools and tools for our home checkers, okay? So for example, whenever one photo of this is uploaded to our system from their mobile device, what we do is that the typical process of resizing and transforming this photo, depending on the places this photo is going to be represented later, in the website and many other places. But also, it happens that so far we have something around 5 million photos in Spot@Home, and that is a lot of material, and we need to classify it. One, for the sake of analysis, being able to know what we have and in what proportion, but also because we are a fully content-driven platform. We need to build a lot of content for SEO. And for that, we have to do it manually at the beginning because we don't know how to attack the problem, but we've discovered that we can rely on automation. And for this, we started looking towards machine learning. So we started doing first MVPs very easily ourselves. Actually, it took me like one day just to make the first proof of concept of how to do this properly in our operations. And we introduced what is the convolutional neural network, which basically takes photographies. It's a training system that takes photos, applies a set of transformations in different layers, and in the end what you get in the output is a classification. Either it is a bathroom, it is a kitchen, whatever it is. The good thing of this is that we have already 5 million of photos that are already classified by us, so we can have a very accurate system. So for this, we rely on a technology called TensorFlow. You may all know this. This is a framework, a library opened by Google in Apache 2 license. And I'm going to show you an example of this small proof of concept that I did once with Python, okay? So it is a very simple class made in Python. Here you can see. And what we have here is basically 90 lines of code. So even though if you are not expert in machine learning, but reading manuals and understanding how the concept works, you can work on top of their API. Of course, if you want to handle all the science underneath it, you can, but I don't know it. And here you have a very simple Flask class that allows us to create an API to upload the photos. So the way this works is this. I made a very simple script that uploads photo in batch. And this is the output of the script. Every time I upload a photo, I get a response, which is the API. Here you have the MD5 of the photo, the result of the classification, and here you have the probabilities of the classification that you get. So for example, this is a bathroom. There are a lot of bathrooms, so you will see many of them, but you will later see some bedrooms, some kitchens, and so on, okay? And this system is trained with our own photos. So, this software is not yet production ready. It's something that we did like for fun, and we want to extend it to be actually a proper solution for us, okay? And it could be by itself its own business. It could be by itself something that we could open as another service and charge for it maybe, or maybe not charge for it unless you get to a minimum quota. I mean, there are many possibilities. Well, I have another demo I wanted to do here, but it's going to be too long for the time that we have. but this is about the video. So the next step after the photography was the video. The way we do videos is that we send these home checkers with first-person cameras. We use GoPro and other kind of systems. And they do these videos in first person in a way that you feel you were there opening the doors, trying the sofas, and entering the different places. Also with the listening, you can hear if there is too much noise in the streets and these kind of things. And gives you like a more complete experience in which you can trust more. There is no reason to believe that we were not there if you have this video. The problem is that things go too fast and you cannot actually focus on the details. And that is pretty bad because, I mean, you are going to be living there maybe for 1 year. You want to trust the solution. So yeah, with this, for example, I can say that in our back office tools, in our streamlined processes, we have tools that you upload the video directly from your phone, and the video will be stored in a safe place, but also in parallel it will be sent asynchronously to Amazon S3, and after that it will be uploaded through the APIs with all the SEO content directly to YouTube and other portals, so it's available for everybody in the world. But if the video is not enough, because you cannot focus on details, what is the next thing you could do for an immersive experience? We were thinking about the virtual reality, virtual tours. Everybody likes this, it's on top of mind of everybody. The problem with this is that when you try to make this yourself, it is going to be a pain in the ass in your operations, because instead of having cheap cameras, GoPros, and these kind of things that if it's broken, you can go to the next shop and buy another one, and these kind of facilities, and also having a standard format for the videos and so on, what you may find probably is very expensive and heavy cameras that is not going to be easy to find a replacement if you break it. And also, the files that you get from those cameras require a lot of processing that you may not actually be willing to do because it attacks your operations and in the end can break the whole process. So we were thinking also on this and said, you know, the best experience would be to have, you know, these VR goggles, which are awesome, but they are still not a commodity. Not everybody has these VR goggles. And also, well, you could buy them from Google, this cardboard, which are very, very cheap, and most people have them, but you may not be at home. I mean, I don't see people carrying these goggles with them. So we thought, how can we make an immersive experience that doesn't fuck up our streamlined operations for onboarding these listings, but also can be benefit by having these VR goggles and maybe having these cameras in the future. So for this, we relied in another library, which is called Marsipano. Marsipano is a render tool for JavaScript that allows you to render properties in your VR panoramas in your browser. And I want to make a very simple demo now to see it. It's also licensed in Apache 2 license. So we've been measuring what people expect to see, and through user experience and research, we found that people expect to be watching things this way. So you see here a person that is our home checker waiting there to prove that we are there, but you can see the whole panorama. And the experience is very good, and it's actually by data showing us that it's the right path to follow. Okay? Well, I could go more, but I don't have time, sorry. Finally, what is this? Just to say that we started 4 years ago. We were only, out of 4 founders, we were 2 founders technical, and we started building the typical monolithic application with Symfony 2 and a MongoDB database, very simple everything. But now we're talking about something around 60 engineers working with product managers and designers and so on. So we had to work a lot in our architecture to have something that was pragmatic, practical, useful to work on, okay, and fast. So now we have a distributed ecosystem with microservices. Our business logic is split from our representation logic. We have playbooks for everything. We have split databases. We apply techniques like domain-driven design, hexagonal architecture, and others. And this allows us to go faster when we develop, because having 60 people creating code every day creates a lot of problems in integration, and we need to fight that. But also, this allows us to improve our security and our reliability. So what started being just PHP and MongoDB now is a full ecosystem with even more products than the ones that are shown here. And this is the team that makes everything possible. This is part of them in a team building activity we did 2 months ago, which I am very proud of. This team is really, really awesome. And just to say that all this that we do it for our mission, which is to reinvent the real estate market, to make it transparent, instant, and exciting. Love at last, and real estate, because it doesn't matter who we are, what matters is our plan. Thanks a lot.
Un aplauso para Brian. Bueno, y ahora tenemos una keynote, ¿no? Se dice, de Antonio Domínguez de Éboris, que es Antonio Domínguez, no es ni Antonio Banderas ni Adolfo Domínguez, él tiene su propia colonia. Y es de Málaga también, qué chiste más malo, este ha hecho... Sí, te he visto. Bueno, no pasa nada. Un aplauso para Antonio Domínguez.
Bueno, yo soy Antonio Domínguez, soy de Málaga, como Álvaro estaba comentando, aunque llevo en Madrid ya bastantes años y el acento ya lo voy perdiendo. Bueno, yo hoy quería hablaros sobre... Bueno, todavía no está la presentación. Está cargando. Que era muy pesada. Pero bueno, yo hoy os quería hablar sobre el concepto de Developer Experience. En muchos proyectos en los que hemos participado y tal, con diferentes tecnologías, herramientas y demás. A ver cómo... Bueno, un poco regular. En muchos proyectos en los que hemos participado y demás, según independientemente de las tecnologías y tal, hemos comentado muchas veces pues, cuál es la experiencia que tenemos nosotros en desarrollo. Para esto, para explicarlo mejor, os he traído un par de símiles. Uy, que no va. Bueno, va al revés. Perdón. Un par de símiles. El primero es dentro de un área digital, ¿vale? ¿Quién de aquí no conoce el User Experience? Entiendo que casi todos. ¿Qué queremos conseguir con el User Experience? Al final, que los usuarios que entran en nuestros canales, pues, que sean fáciles de usar, que se eliminen las frustraciones, porque si no saldrían todos pitando, ¿no? Incrementar la conversión y, por otro lado, también pues que el canal esté totalmente objetivado para que la experiencia de su usuario dentro del canal sea perfecta. El objetivo, el resumen de la experiencia de usuario es que la percepción para los usuarios sea totalmente positiva, ¿vale? Pero ya fuera de un área digital, ahora que estamos en verano y tal, incluso la contratación de un paquete vacacional, ¿no? En el que tanto antes, como en el durante, como en el después, nos gusta vivir la experiencia haciendo las menores gestiones posibles. Ninguna. ¿Para qué? Y conociendo también las complejidades que hay por detrás. ¿Pero para qué? Porque como somos unos disfrutones, para disfrutarla y para que la experiencia sea totalmente óptima. ¿Qué es el Developer Experience? ¿O qué es para mí el Developer Experience? Al final, los desarrolladores también somos personas, que tenemos nuestro corazoncito y que tenemos sentimientos. Es esa percepción o ese sentimiento, esa emoción que nos produce cuando estamos desarrollando, ¿vale? ¿Por qué? Porque los desarrolladores de hoy en día lo que queremos es, inicialmente, aportar valor, sobre todo eso, hacer las menos tareas posibles, las manuales, que sean muy repetitivas y aburridas, eso totalmente fuera. Y por otro lado también el participar en comunidades y tal y hacer las cosas lo más rápido posible, pero sin impactar en ningún momento en nuestra calidad, ¿vale? Yo considero que hay tres pilares importantes: las metodologías, las herramientas que utilizamos en el día a día y, por otro lado, también el ecosistema open source. ¿Y por qué digo esto? A nivel de herramientas y en comparación con años atrás, tenemos metodologías. Tenemos metodologías como el Management 3.0, Scrum, Pair Programming y muchas más que nos permiten ser mucho más ágiles. Que la relación entre los compañeros y de trabajo sea mucho más eficiente, mucho más real. Que podamos tener emociones y sentimientos mucho más encontrados, ¿vale? Y esto genera sinergias. Por otro lado, las herramientas. ¿Quién hoy en día no hace proyectos en los que tenga un sistema de integración o despliegue continuo? O que trabajemos con el CLI de cualquier framework o cualquier tecnología que nos haga las tareas más manuales y que no nos gustan. O que podamos trabajar de manera en remota a través de herramientas o plataformas social code, ¿vale? Y por último, lo que son los ecosistemas open source. Todo lo que son estándares, lenguajes, metodologías y, lo más importante, la gente, ¿vale? La comunidad que hace que nuestras experiencias en desarrollo sean mucho mejores y más bonitas. ¿Y qué es lo bueno que tenemos? La mentalidad de los desarrollos está cambiando, parece que está cambiando, ¿vale? La mentalidad de los desarrolladores. Aquí quería poner 3 ejemplos en un pasado cercano, relativamente cercano incluso en la actualidad, donde se hacen proyectos todavía bajo metodología waterfall. Algo que ya se queda un poco arcaico, de forma de la que nosotros desarrollamos, pero no cumplimos o no comparamos con nuestros clientes o con los interesados hasta que no pasan 2, 3, 4 meses si cumple si el proyecto o lo que estamos desarrollando cumple con las expectativas, ¿vale? Contrario que pasa con las metodologías ágiles hoy en día. Las tareas repetitivas que teníamos antiguamente, despliegues a través de FTPs o hacer funcionales o definir pruebas de manera manuales, ¿vale? Todo eso ya últimamente lo estamos totalmente automatizando, haciendo que eliminemos todas estas frustraciones que tenemos. Y por último, y esto no quería ofender a nadie, pero ¿quién no ha desarrollado en Internet Explorer 6, Internet Explorer 7, Internet Explorer 8? O sea, son navegadores que no han seguido los estándares creo que nunca en la vida, ¿vale? Yo personalmente he desarrollado en esas tecnologías y hacía que mi frustración fuera, pero altísima, y que mis sentimientos fueran totalmente negativos, ¿vale? Por suerte ya incluso Internet Explorer está haciendo que sigan los estándares y tal, y que podamos tener experiencias mucho más positivas. ¿Qué nos depara el futuro? El futuro, aunque lo desconozco, ¿vale? Sí que nos depara un desarrollo y una construcción software mucho más personalizable, muy orientadas al negocio. Se estima que de aquí a 10 años un porcentaje muy alto de las personas que trabajan de cara al software sepan programar. Es decir, hablo también de personas del negocio y tal, haciendo que la complejidad sea mucho mayor, que nuestras experiencias sean totalmente diferentes. Por otro lado, nos vamos a basar en activos, permitiéndonos salir un poquito más de la especialización y poder abarcar muchísimas más tecnologías, ¿vale? Haciendo que tengamos muchísimas más experiencias de cara al desarrollo. Y esto, por último, las conclusiones que sacamos, o las conclusiones que yo saco. Para tener una buena developer experience, el seguir las reglas es bastante importante. Seguir los productos con los que trabajamos, los estándares, las metodologías, simplificar al máximo, dejar de hacer funcionales intensos e interminables y trabajar bajo metodologías mucho más ágiles que nos permiten poder tangibilizar un producto mucho más rápido. Limpiar nuestra mente y eliminar de nuestro día a día todas las tareas que son manuales y repetitivas y que no nos gustan a ninguno, pero a ninguno, a nadie, ¿vale? Implantando y analizando en una primera instancia en tu proyecto herramientas que te pueden ayudar a automatizar todas estas tareas. Conciliación. Siempre es importante poder conciliar entre nuestra vida laboral y nuestra vida personal. Herramientas que permitan poder trabajar en remoto. Herramientas que nos permitan poder estar totalmente deslocalizados para que podamos poder compatibilizar nuestra vida laboral y personal. Y friendly people. Había una persona que me decía que siempre es bueno trabajar no solo con gente que sea buena, sino también con buena gente. Utilizar las comunidades, ser un buen ciudadano, documentar, dejar que todo lo que hagamos poder compartirlo y que sea de buen uso para todas las personas que trabajamos, porque al final de todo, todos los que estamos detrás de un ordenador somos nosotros, que somos las personas. Muchas gracias.
Un aplauso para Antonio. Bueno, tenemos la segunda speaker. Mira, es que no os gustan nada mis chistes, ¿eh? Os veo que estáis ahí. Ahora os voy a sacar al escenario. La segunda ponente es Keisha Williams, que no es ni Keisha la cantante ni es familia de Robbie Williams. Bueno, estoy que lo tiro hoy. No, ya en serio. Ella es TED Speaker, instructora de Java y desarrolladora del software Chick-fil-A. Así que un aplauso enorme para Keisha Williams, por favor.
A young girl from the middle of nowhere starts her career with the NSA, having a top secret security clearance. She moves to become a software engineer for a company called Chick-fil-A. And this time last year, July of 2017, she actually gave a TED Talk on machine learning. And now she's standing before you on a stage in Madrid at Keep Coding Connect 2018. Now, I'm sure when you see me, you don't see a top secret spy that works for the NSA. You may not even see a software engineer. So I'm going to tell you about my journey to the stage today. As a young girl, I believed that computers would soon control the world. So I wanted to be the one to control the computers. So yes, I had dreams of ruling the world. And I still have those dreams. But what I've found in my journey in tech is that technology actually does rule the world. It controls the world, and it can make the world a better place. And technology gives a voice to its creators. So all of us developers, we have a voice. Now, that young girl that you saw, at that age, that's when my fascination with technology began. And so you would think someone that age that her favorite toy would be a Barbie doll. I did have my share of Barbies. I had the Ken doll, the Barbie Dream Home, the Barbie convertible, and I even had a Barbie horse. But those were not my favorite toys. My favorite toy looked a lot like this computer. So when I was in the middle school, late middle school, early high school, my father actually purchased a personal computer to do the family finances. And he put it in my playroom. So we had this room that was the playroom/office. And I always joke with people and say, in one hand, I had a Barbie doll, and in the other hand, I had a computer manual writing computer programs using the BASIC programming language. So that may date how old I am. And so at the time, I didn't realize that what I was doing was called coding. I just called it playing with the computer. And to this day, when I'm on my computer building software, it still feels like playing because it's so much fun. And so technology has taken me from a very small town to work with major corporations and government agencies across the United States, serving in various roles, doing web development, software engineering, leadership, project management, business analyst type work, and even building software using AI technologies. And I also did a few top secret security things that I can't tell you about, because if I did, I'd have to hunt you down one by one and kill you, just like they do in the movies when you least expect it. So my 23-year journey has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of playing, but I have also faced trials and tribulations. So there is this one picture that whenever I see it, I laugh, because it really describes my experience as a Black woman in technology. Okay. So you see the queen? That's me. That's me in tech. And you see everybody else. That's everybody else in tech. So I don't see a lot of people that look like me. And I often feel alone and isolated. So you'll see me working with a lot of communities like Women Who Code, because there are women who actually code. And some other, I guess, trials and tribulations, I often feel sometimes like I'm under a microscope because I'm just so different. Sometimes I feel like I'm held to a different standard because I'm different. And I often have to prove myself over and over and over again because I'm different. And now I don't feel bad about the things that I've encountered. I'm actually grateful because it's helped me find myself, it's helped me learn more about what I'm capable of, and it's helped me to find my voice in tech. So now that I've found my voice in tech, what do I use it to say? I do a lot of talking. So I use it to say, we need to have more diversity in technology so that people like me don't experience the things that I've experienced. I use my voice to say we have a big reliance on artificial intelligence, so things like machine learning and computer vision and facial recognition, and our reliance is just going to continue to grow. And so that makes a strong case for diversity in technology so that we build systems that don't have bias. And so I'll also use my voice and skills to teach and mentor the younger generation of women so that they can quickly find their path and their voice in this male-dominated industry. And I use my power and my creative ability to build systems that make life easier and sometimes more fun. So, whenever I use my voice and my skills, it often brings a lot of attention my way. And that's why I'm standing before you today, a little girl from a small town called Moncks Corner in South Carolina. And so this time last year, I shared on the TED stage as a winner of their Spotlight Presentation Academy about how machine learning can actually remove human bias from policing. I also won the Ada Lovelace Award. Now, Ada Lovelace is the very first computer programmer, and she was a woman. I actually won the Ada Lovelace Award for a predictive policing machine learning algorithm that I created called SAM, and I'll tell you more about SAM later. And I also won a second place not too long ago in a Cloud Guru Speak Up Challenge. So I created an Alexa skill, that's an app for Alexa called STEM Women. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And so I created that skill just to show positive role models of women doing amazing things in STEM. And then lastly, I won the Think Different Innovation Award from Chick-fil-A for just thinking outside of the box using voice-first technology to solve some of the company's business challenges. So you'll find that when you find your voice in tech, it could lead you to doing a lot of different things. So innovating, mentoring, teaching, and speaking. And so from an innovation perspective, I mentioned to you SAM. So just think pre-crime from Minority Report. So a machine learning algorithm that predicts the likelihood of crime. And the cool thing about SAM is that he actually eliminates racial profiling when he's making a crime prediction. So in America, that's huge. And then I mentioned to you my STEM Women Alexa skill, but I've played around and created several other skills as well. So skills that help busy families plan meals. Skills that help families bond around the dinner table playing games. Skills that I actually created with my 11-year-old daughter, who already calls herself a computer programmer. Skills to help young kids learn how to spell hard words and memorize their math facts. And so I also use that voice mentoring. I told you I like to really increase diversity in technology, and I work with young girls and women through programs like Women Who Code, Technovation, New York Academy of Sciences, and my favorite called WEST. So WEST stands for Women Entering and Staying in Tech. And so I teach also just to share my lessons learned and my failures. So there have been a lot of failures. And so I just want others to learn from my failures so that they don't make the same mistakes. So you'll find me teaching with companies like LinkedIn Learning, that's Linda, Pluralsight, Manning Publications, and even through the University of California. In speaking, you'll find me on a stage almost anywhere, sharing my lessons learned. Now, how can you find your voice in tech? And it's very important that you do, because technology can literally change the world. And so my advice is to find what you're passionate about and then use technology to amplify those passions, and then share those passions with others. And you'll find that you'll quickly become a person of influence without even trying. And you don't have to be in technology for 23 years like me in order to make an impact. Just think about it like this. No matter where you are on your journey, there is someone that is not as far along as you are. And any experience that you can share with that person will help pull them forward. And my biggest lesson that I've learned being in tech is it's not who you are that holds you back. It's really who you think you're not. So it's the voices in your head that tell you you can't. It's the limitations that you place on yourself based on what your employer tells you about yourself, what your family says, what your friends say. And I say, don't listen to that voice, those voices. Don't put limitations on what you can accomplish. The sky is definitely the limit. Start small and grow big. And so for me, I started with HTML. My very first job, I built websites using HTML. And then I progressed to CSS, and then I progressed to JavaScript, and then I progressed to Java. So this day and age, I would say after you've learned JavaScript, consider a front-end framework like React or Angular. And then once you've mastered the front end, consider the back end. And so you already know JavaScript, start with Node.js, and then maybe Python, and then maybe Java. Just every technology that you try, it shows you what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, and it helps you find your path. Now, it is a very exciting time to be in technology. When I look at the advances with artificial intelligence and machine learning and computer vision and facial recognition, I just say, wow, like science fiction, what we see in the movies, it's actually real and it's here today. So tech gives us superpowers, so use those powers for good. And tech has given me a voice that wants to be heard, and it can do the same for you. So I urge you, find what you're passionate about, use technology to amplify those passions, share your lessons learned with others, and you'll help people along the way. Thank you.
Un aplauso para Kisha. Bueno, amigos, tengo que recordaros los sorteos, las promociones que estamos teniendo, que sorteamos 10 entradas dobles para la Héroes Comic Con de Madrid. Recordad, en Twitter y en Instagram tenéis que subir la foto más original y tenéis que contestar a las preguntas que estamos poniendo ahí en las redes sociales, y el primero en contestar. Y recordad que solo podéis los que estéis aquí. Solo se puede los que estéis aquí, solo sois los que estéis participando. También sorteamos un Google Home en Twitter. Es en Twitter este concurso, y tenéis que contestar qué voz os gustaría que sonara en vuestro Google Home. ¿Qué voz? Tú, por ejemplo, ¿qué voz te gustaría? Vamos a ver. Sí, porque me estás mirando así. Entonces, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo te llamas, caballero?
Narciso.
Narciso. Ah, tú vas a subir luego, ¿no? Sí, porque te tengo... Ah, bueno, venga, no te pregunto a ti. Mira, este que está con el móvil. ¿Cómo te llamas?
Luis.
Luis, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué voz te gustaría a ti que sonara en tu Google Home, ¿no? Una voz de un actor, de un famoso, un personaje.
La de Luis Posada.
Luis Posada, ¿no? Que Luis es la voz de Jim Carrey. Muy buena, muy buena. Oye, pues un aplauso para Luis, ¿eh? Que encima, oye, valiente. Bueno, y ahora sí que sí, ahora os dejo con Kisha Williams, que es TED Speaker. No, perdón, Kisha Williams, dale. Con Chris Borchers, director ejecutivo de JavaScript, en la Fundación Linux, y después va a subir a hablar Toñi de la Prieta, que es de Accenture. Estoy diciendo todo mal, gracias. Bueno, un aplauso para Chris Borchers.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? Good? Yeah? All right. All right. Okay, so, as you said, my name's Chris Borchers. I currently work for the Linux Foundation, running the JS Foundation. So we, at the JS Foundation, are supporting and promoting some of the key projects in the open source JavaScript ecosystem. So that's everything from some of the older but widely used tools like jQuery is one of our projects, all the way to some newer tools in the IoT space, serverless, things like that. So, but what I'm going to focus on today is a project called Interledger.js. Interledger is an interesting project. It's actually a reference implementation for a new protocol that's being worked on called the Interledger protocol. And so we probably won't talk a lot about JavaScript today. What I'm going to focus mostly on is the protocol, because I think that's understanding how this protocol works is important and could hopefully inspire you to build some really interesting things. So with that, Interledger itself is a protocol for connecting ledgers. So if you think about the internet as a really simple definition, it's a protocol, or the internet is a network of networks. Interledger is a network of ledgers. And these ledgers are anything you can think of, from bank accounts to digital wallets to mobile money accounts. And so what I want to talk about is how the protocol works to allow these different ledgers to talk to each other. So typically a ledger, like a bank account, keeps track of who you are and balances, right? And so the issue is that not all of these ledgers talk to each other, at least not directly. And we do have technologies like Swift or things like that that will transfer funds between ledgers, but they're slow, and they take time, and they're expensive at times. So what Interledger wants to do is try to address that. So Interledger introduces this concept of a connector, and a connector can be any sort of individual, an organization, even one of the ledgers themselves could actually become a connector and enable themselves to talk to other ledgers. These connectors can also do currency conversions. So that starts to become really interesting, because now we can do these cross-ledger transactions, cross-currency transactions, cross-border transactions, and to the end users, it looks like a local transaction. And so that's kind of the key there. So what you'll see is, like I said, it kind of copies off of the IP protocol that we use on the internet. And so there's an address that looks very much like an IP address. And then an amount, which is just a decimal amount. There isn't a specific currency tied to that amount, because those local transactions are what deal with currency changes. And so what the sender does is they would attach the Interledger packet to their transaction when they request money from their ledger to send to a connector. And then the connector would then forward that packet on to the next ledger to enable sort of that transaction. The one concern you might see there is that if I'm sending money to this connector that could be anyone, how do I know that they're actually going to give the money to the person that I'm actually trying to get it to? And ledgers already have this idea of holds built into them. And so by using holds, we can actually then map out the entire path of this transaction and keep it secure along the way. And so instead of directly sending funds to the connector, the sender would place a hold on their ledger and inform the connector that the funds are on hold, and to then pass that transaction on. And so there are different criteria that have to be met to move along the transaction path. So there can be expirations, different sort of crypto conditions that have to be met in order for the transaction to go through, and they can either be executed or rolled back at that time. And so what the packet, the The other sort of additional pieces to the interledger packet are an expiration and some sort of condition, which is typically going to be a signature that the recipient, and only the recipient, can create to then let the sender know that the funds have made it. So, if we look at this just graphically, so commitment of the transaction happens left to right. And so, like I said, we see the sender put funds on hold that they want to send. So Alice is trying to send funds to Bob, and Jane is acting as our connector. And so the funds are placed on hold. The connector is notified that there are funds on hold. The connector can then place funds on hold on their ledger and then inform the recipient that those funds are on hold. And so that kind of finalizes commitment. And then the receiver is the recipient is the one that can trigger actual execution of the transaction. And so by actually signing that transaction saying, yes, I know that the conditions have been met, that's the right amount that I was expecting, they can then sign the receipt and send that back to the connector. And once the signature is received, the ledger releases those held funds. They go to the recipient. That's when the receipt is passed back on to the connector. The connector sees the signed receipt, sees that it was a successful transaction, sends that back to the sender's ledger. The sender then releases funds that are on hold to reimburse the connector, and then the sender gets a proof of payment through that signed receipt that was signed by the recipient to finalize that transaction. So yeah, so transfers are committed left to right and executed right to left. All right, so these paths can be short. So what we showed there was just literally a sender, a connector, and a recipient. But because of the way that this is set up, they can be long, and it's just a repetition of that same process that we saw to pass it along the path to find its way from the sender to the recipient. And so what this allows is for the sender and the recipient to not necessarily have to worry about what currencies they're using, even if the sender is sending, say, euro and the recipient wants to receive Bitcoin. These connectors, as long as there's connectors that can go between those ledgers, then the transaction can take place. And so, like I said, just like with the internet and how it achieves scale through this sort of network of networks, the same thing is possible through Interledger. And so what the Interledger would look like is sort of like the internet, where it's this network of connectors and ledgers. So that was just like a really high overview. I'm probably going a little faster than I usually do, but that's okay. But I wanted to point out a couple of actual real-world examples that are currently using Interledger, just to kind of illustrate some folks that are using it to hopefully maybe spark some ideas for you. So the first one that I wanted to call out is Codius. Codius is an open hosting protocol. So you can kind of think of it like AWS Lambda, sort of. But you can run an application on this distributed hosting network where you can choose if you want it to run on one host or 1,000 hosts. And these hosts have payments built in via Interledger. And so through smart contracts, the hosts can say, in order to run your application on my host, it will cost you this amount per month. And then in your code, you can agree to that, to execute that contract. And then when you push your code to those hosts, your application is tied to some sort of ledger, and the hosts are also tied to a ledger. And then the interledger protocol automatically takes care of those payments. And you can set it up so that people running their applications pay for the hosting. You can pay for it yourself. There's a lot of different ways that you can actually use this system to run distributed applications. It's totally open source. There's a I think it's called CodiusHosts.com, is a cool site to just go take a look at. It actually is a worldwide map and listing of all of the current hosts that are running. I think the last time I checked, there's 400 and something. And it's just this organic community that started building up around it. So it's pretty cool. The other project that I want to talk about is really cool. So to give a little bit of context, there are more than 2 billion people in the world that do not have a bank account and do not have access to other sort of digital financial services. And so digital payment technologies are a way to address that, because a lot of times the reason these people don't have access to these digital services, these financial services, is because they are in remote areas. It's really hard for banks to justify standing up a physical location in some of these places. It's prohibitively expensive for these people to actually get to a physical location. And when it comes to digital services, because of the way that the current systems are set up, a lot of times the fees associated with these digital financial services are too high for these people to actually use them. But because the digital payments can reduce some of the cost by about 90% as opposed to physical transactions, the prohibitive sort of issues around fees and physical locations has made digital financial service growth in developing countries really slow. And so what becomes interesting is 90% of the less fortunate in the world in developing countries are now covered by a mobile signal. And so mobile money has been growing and growing really well in these areas. The issue there is that a lot of these are closed systems and they don't talk to each other. And so I may be able to open a mobile money account, but my child's school may have a different mobile money and they don't talk to each other. Or my employer might want to pay me digitally, but they can't because their bank doesn't talk to my mobile money system. And so this is where Interledger can come in, and this is where Moja Loop comes in. So Moja is Swahili for one, and what they've done is to look at these closed systems, these closed individual systems, and try to create one loop within some of these countries to have these different digital financial systems talk to each other. So it's really interesting, and this is all in part due to Interledger, because it allows these different systems to talk to each other through that connector protocol. So I guess what I would leave you with is just, what could you build with this? It could be anything that helps your company, your employer, or something like Moja Loop trying to help people around the world. So with that, I say thank you.
Hola. Como he visto algunos que se están durmiendo, digo, voy a intentar ser un poco disruptivo y lanzar pelotitas. Me han dicho que esto llega lejos. A ver si batimos algún récord Guinness. Bueno, Toñi no ha podido venir. Tony sí. Y Accenture sí y Adventure tampoco. Pero me ha gustado mucho porque Boris también está aquí. Como es una hora donde habréis comido, es sábado, alguna copita os habéis tomado, digo, vamos a hacer algo diferente. Y mi equipo dice, ¿te tenemos que acompañar? Joder. Pues sí, ¿no? Es sábado. Y tengo que coger un avión para venir aquí. ¿Por qué no me acompañáis? Vale, pero ¿vas a hacer algo diferente? Digo, sí. Yo me llevo la pistola y empiezo a disparar. Y vosotros explicáis algo. Entonces lo que voy a pedir es que mi equipo suba a acompañarme. Un aplauso para mi equipo. Como estas cosas se nos dan muy mal, la gente se pone nerviosa, hay mucha gente, nos hemos traído al becario, que el becario nos va a presentar. Nos va a explicar qué hacemos en Accenture.
Buenas tardes a todos. ¿Oh?
Perdonad que no lo veáis, ¿eh?
Veamos. Un segundo.
Es sábado, se toma su tiempo. No os preocupéis.
Hola. Buenas tardes a todos. Soy Nao, robot humanoide y becario de Accenture. Mis habilidades, aparte de dar discursos súper interesantes como este, son muy variadas. Puedo hacer de asistente en eventos, dando información sobre la agenda o indicaciones de las distintas zonas del espacio. También soy asistente de banca, gracias a distintos chatbots que me ayudan a gestionar la información. Por supuesto, también sé hacer cosas más a la moda, como sacar fotos y subirlas a mi cuenta de Twitter. Adivinar la edad de las personas que veo. O sacar un perfil de personalidad según la actividad de Twitter de un usuario. Me encanta trabajar aquí con mis programadoras Marta y Cristina. Espero estar aquí muchos años más.
A mí le tengo mucho cariño. Lo que pasa es que me dice, ya llevo 2 años de becario, a ver cuándo me contratas. Digo, todavía no está arreglado. Me gustaría enormemente que estas 2 personas de nuestro equipo que entraron en la compañía desde hace poco tiempo, llevan con nosotros y están con nuestro becario, nos explicaran su experiencia, ¿no? En un minutito. Porque yo creo que es algo que compartir con la comunidad.
Soy Marta.
Bueno, yo soy Cristina.
Yo he estudiado informática.
Y yo un grado superior de programación.
Yo llevo como 2 años y pico en Accenture.
Sí, más o menos lo mismo llevamos las dos. Y bueno, entramos las dos como becarias.
Sí. Y después pasamos a la plantilla en la parte de innovación del equipo de Berta.
Y bueno, pues empezamos las dos trabajando en robótica, tanto con Nao como con el robot Pepper. Seguro que alguno lo conoce.
Es igual, pero un poquito más grande y con tablet. Muy gracioso.
Y bueno, en innovación lo bueno es que tocamos un poco todo tipo de tecnologías, todas innovadoras, todas de las últimas, digamos. Y ahora en concreto empezamos a tocar un poco más realidad virtual, aumentada, entonces...
No te aburres nunca, la verdad es que es un trabajo en el que no se puede considerar trabajo porque utilizas cosas súper chulas como esta y no te aburres. Es todo diferente y viniendo a estas charlas y demás para daros a conocer todo lo que hacemos.
Gracias.
Bueno, mi nombre es Berta Galán, llevo bastante más tiempo que vosotras en la compañía. Empecé como becaria y ahora soy la directora del Centro de Innovación de Digital. Os lo contaría con tanto entusiasmo como lo cuentan ellas. La verdad es que yo trabajo, aparte de pasármelo bien, también trabajamos. Tiene la parte dura, no os engaño. Pero si os cuento mi experiencia, os cuento mi vida, para mí son mi familia. A mí me dices ven un sábado y sabes que voy donde quieras. El hecho de que tengamos gente como ellas, que tenga muchas ganas de trabajar, es lo que nos anima a los demás a seguir trabajando. Esto que habéis ido viendo de la programación a mí me encanta y la disfruto, pero a la vez pues lo que más nos gusta es el poderlo compartir con todos vosotros y contaros nuestra experiencia, ¿no? Y quién mejor que vosotros para que contéis la realidad de qué es lo que hacemos. Gracias, Toni. Jorge.
Bueno, y ahora esto iba... Muchas gracias. Nuestra charla, en el título ponía DevOps, pero iba de personas y IT informática, ¿no? Fijaros que los he tenido que secuestrar a todos allí y no querían entrar y con la pistola he hecho que entren, ¿no? A mí me gustaría empezar por ¿quién conoce Accenture? ¿Levantamos mano? Jope. ¿Accenture qué hace? ¿Galletas? No, no estaríamos aquí. Bueno, has dicho que sí, ¿eh? Yo creo que te mereces una pelota. Va. ¿Accenture es consultoría? Que levante la mano si es consultoría. Vale. ¿Tecnología? Un 30% de tecnología, iba a decir un 70% consultoría, aparte que tenemos otras unidades. En España somos 12.000. 6.500 somos tecnólogos. Y esto no se sabe. Nos dedicamos a hacer esto que acabáis de ver aquí. Programar en Java, programar en todo tipo de lenguajes. Y esto es un mensaje súper importante. Queremos cambiar el mundo. Y lo cambiamos desde el punto de vista de consultoría, pero siempre desde nuestra arma de tecnología. Y hacemos cosas tan chulas como la parte robótica, blockchain, etc., que he escuchado antes, ¿no? ¿Qué me gusta explicar? Cuando yo empecé, no me he presentado, soy Toñi, para los amigos, Toni oficialmente, trabajando en Accenture. En el mundo, cuando empecé hace 21 años, empecé programando Visual Basic y C. Y ahora, pues, voy a decir que colaboro en proyectos de transformación digital. Y lo que hacíamos, llegábamos a casa y mi madre me preguntaba, hijo mío, ¿qué haces a las 10 de la noche llegando a casa? Yo decía, no, estoy cambiando el mundo, ya. ¿Pero qué mundo si no lo veo? No, la fábrica, no lo veían. Hemos pasado de la transacción a la relación. Nos dedicábamos a hacer grandes proyectos de transformación de empresas donde ahora cambiamos cómo la gente vive, cómo la gente se relaciona, donde el empleado es más empleado y donde el cliente hace las cosas más fáciles. Fijaros lo difícil que antes era crear una cuenta bancaria, tenías que ir a la oficina y demás, y ahora hay bancos ya, que por móvil puedes crear una cuenta. Cuidado. TSB Inglaterra, ya habéis visto en las noticias, que entras en tu cuenta, igual tú puedes tener muchos millones como pocos, porque los canales digitales no funcionan. Bueno, ¿cómo se soluciona eso? Con DevOps. Con DevOps, y este es el mensaje que queremos transmitir. Nos gusta mucho porque todos crecemos personalmente y cada uno, como veíamos, nos desarrollamos, tecnología, crecemos. Pero ¿vosotros creéis que un saxofonista solo suena bien? Bueno, pues si eres el mega crack, el rockstar, ¿no?, que se dice, funciona muy bien. Pero ¿no funciona mejor una banda? Aquí hay un símil muy bueno, que es un tío que canta en una banda de jazz, sin el resto de instrumentos no funciona. Pues este es el ejemplo que ponemos con DevOps. Fijaros que antes el mundo del desarrollo y el mundo de la operación estaban desconectados. Yo desarrollaba, generaba mi paquetito, decía, viernes por la tarde, señoritos, ¿vais a instalar esto? Y ya hasta el lunes. Volvías, ¡puf! ¿Qué me has dado? Si esto no... dependencias, me ha cascado todo, me ha llamado el director general, etc. Esto lo evitamos. Entonces, las bandas tienen que funcionar armónicamente. Y para esto, ¿no?, hay un cambio de relaciones. Me gusta esto, la foto, ¿no? Esto es muy difícil, ¿eh? El mundo del desarrollo, unirlo con el mundo de operaciones. ¿Cuántos de desarrollo hay aquí? Levantamos la mano. Y de operaciones, no os linchéis, ¿eh?, si alguien levanta la mano. Pero ¿verdad que estamos más contentos cuando todos trabajamos ordenadamente, conjuntamente, y eso ha pasado un testing, y yo sé que lo que me estás dando para deployar es correcto? Pues es el mundo de DevOps. ¿Qué significa DevOps? Pues, como no me quiero extender más, por si no solo hablo yo, o el becario, le voy a dar el paso a Jorge, que es nuestro experto arquitecto en DevOps.
Hola. Bueno, pues como Tony estaba introduciendo, cambia el mundo y también cambiamos la forma en que nosotros desarrollamos aplicaciones y sistemas para ese nuevo mundo. Cuando uno entra al mundo de DevOps, hay dos grandes, digamos, ejes de trabajo. Uno, herramientas y automatización, que ahora contaré un poco. Pero hay primero un trabajo anterior que es muchísimo más importante, que es cómo esos equipos que tradicionalmente funcionan separados, uno pasándose la pelota caliente a los otros, no trabajando juntos desde el primer día, no colaborando, cuando empiezan a trabajar como un equipo juntos. No quiere decir que en DevOps todo el mundo lo haga todo, sino que empatizamos, que colaboramos. Empezamos a hacer cosas que antes parecían impensables. Derribamos los muros, derribamos los silos departamentales. Trabajamos como un solo equipo colaborando y es nuestro leitmotiv en lo que hacemos en el día a día. Aprendemos juntos, porque si hay algo que nos ha enseñado trabajar en esta industria tantos años es que el software falla y lo que hay que hacer es estar preparado, aprender de lo que ha ido mal para que no se repita. Y por tanto, buscar soluciones, no buscar culpables, porque compartimos las responsabilidades y yo no me voy el viernes por la tarde cuando he terminado de desarrollar y como no me ha dado tiempo, pues a lo mejor no lo he probado. Bueno, que lo instalen en producción y a ver qué pasa. Sino que todos juntos, como un solo equipo, vamos a estar implicados desde el primer día para que eso vaya bien, sea, si me lo permitís, trivial. Tenemos compromiso, por tanto, con lo que estamos haciendo y sentimos orgullo de lo que estamos haciendo. Y como persona orgullosa de lo que hace, no se va a casa hasta que está bien. Y es algo muy importante, que es tener esa visión del
Me gusta tirar pelotas.
Pero a la vez de empezar a hacer estas cosas, que como humanos a veces nos cuesta, debemos también dejar de hacer estas otras, que como humanos nos cuesta todavía más. Nos gusta buscar culpables, pues debemos dejar de buscar culpables. Nos gusta esconder la cabeza, ¿no?, y decir, ya vendrá otro a arreglarlo. O pasamos el marrón, ¿no? Esto lo solucionas tú. Ponemos barreras, le decimos a otra persona, tú no puedes hacer eso porque es mi labor, o ocultamos el conocimiento porque pensamos que esa es una manera de hacernos valiosos. Pues todos esos tipos de comportamientos tenemos que dejar de hacerlos. Y es bastante complicado. Como humanos, imperfectos y educados de una cierta manera, nos cuesta cambiar, pero se puede cambiar. Y cuando lo haces, es cuando realmente das ese paso adelante liberador que te permite, pues, como hacen las grandes tecnológicas, pues poner en producción 100 veces al día. Se convierte en algo tan trivial, trivial de hacer y trivial de deshacer, le pierdes miedo, que te permite, pues eso, de una manera muy liberadora, seguir hacia adelante. Pero, como decía antes, no basta solo con cambiar nuestras relaciones. También debemos de enfocar la manera en la que construimos, diseñamos los sistemas de una manera diferente. Seamos sinceros, no lo hacemos demasiado bien, a veces. Tenemos que aprender, como decía antes, de todo eso para hacerlo mejor. DevOps nos marca una serie de principios, que son los que de alguna manera tenemos que llevar dentro en toda la fase del proyecto. Empezar, como decíamos antes, por los equipos. Equipos que van a ser cohesionados, orientados al cambio, muy preparados para reaccionar y que además entregan en pequeñas dosis. Porque cuando entregas poco a poco es mucho más fácil identificar un error y solucionarlo. También, por supuesto, principios más que yo creo que ya deberían de ser muy conocidos. Pero a ver, ¿cuántos de aquí trabajan en un proyecto y ellos piensan que tienen una gestión de la configuración fantástica, una política de versiones increíble, las ramas todas súper controladas? ¿Cuántos de aquí consideran que su proyecto es así? Bien, ese es el primero.
Yo sí.
Sí, tú sí. También. Bueno, vamos a ver lo demás. No pierdo la esperanza. ¿Cuántos de aquí piensan que en sus proyectos hacen integración continua? Entendiéndola cómo se define la integración continua. No que tengan un Jenkins, no. Que se hace integración continua, es decir, cambios frecuentes, commits en los equipos al menos una vez al día, deseable. ¿Alguna mano más? No sé cómo hacer lo segundo sin hacerlo primero. Pero bueno, bueno, está mejor. ¿Cuántos de aquí consideran que en sus proyectos tienen una revisión del código exhaustiva que incluye prácticas de seguridad? Vamos, que no se escapa un bug de ninguna de las maneras. Bien,
Has ganado la pelota, ¿eh?
Bueno, pues ya no sigo con los demás, ¿vale? Pero eso nos lleva, o de alguna manera debería de llevarnos un poco ese to-do mental de decir, pues, ¿qué me impide hacerlo? Porque la tecnología nos ha enseñado que todo esto es fácil de hacer. Tenemos herramientas open source, por ejemplo, para todo esto. Y eso muchas veces es más una cuestión de cambiar los equipos, forzar a hacer las cosas diferentes. Al final, con estos principios lo que conseguimos es lo que aspiramos de estas grandes empresas tecnológicas, las que llamamos unicornios, aquellas que son realmente exitosas y están facturando más de 1 billón. ¿Cuál es la característica fundamental de esas empresas de tipo unicornio? Que pueden introducir cambios rápidos, experimentar, ver esta nueva idea que tengo, cómo funciona en el mercado, si mis usuarios responden a ella, si la aceptan, si aporta valor. Y lo pueden hacer muy rápido, en cuestión de días. Y les permite mejorar continuamente. Porque si yo tengo una release cada 6 meses, a lo mejor va bien, a lo mejor no, pero desde luego solo voy a poder introducir mejoras 2 veces al año. Con lo cual, una empresa de tipo unicornio o simplemente adoptando DevOps me pasa como un tren arrollador. Me adelanta, me deja atrás. Simplemente por esa capacidad de experimentar rápidamente y mejorar continuamente. Para llevar esto a escala, pues podemos aprender. Y nosotros, aquí como Accenture, tratamos de ayudar un poquito para enseñar que las herramientas, la tecnología, no es el impedimento, es normalmente las personas y las relaciones. Pues para ello, basado en nuestra experiencia de muchos proyectos, de muchos años, creamos la Accenture DevOps Platform, es open source, licencia Apache, está en GitHub. Es una arquitectura modular basada en contenedores Docker, con lo cual hemos invertido mucho tiempo en coger herramientas open source existentes, que son las mejores cada una en su campo, para que trabajen juntas y vengan bien integradas. Si alguien ha intentado montar un Jenkins, Sonar, Nexus, toda esta herramienta en contenedores, para que hablen bien entre ellas, con seguridad, etcétera, eso se lleva un tiempo. Bueno, pues lo que hicimos es, primero, egoístamente, porque no nos gusta repetirnos a nosotros mismos, pero luego hacerlo open source para ayudar a toda la comunidad, incluidos vosotros, todo el mundo, demostrar que la tecnología no sea el reto, que es muy fácil tener una plataforma DevOps completa con pipeline de referencia en minutos. Está basada en Docker, las imágenes están en Docker Hub, todos los fuentes están en GitHub, con lo cual es muy sencillo y rápido de montarlo. Y simplemente empezar a trabajar, tener ideas y ponerlas en marcha. Lo salto. Y el scroll es un poquito challenging. Y por repetirlo una vez más, es código abierto, está en GitHub, como decía, licencia Apache. La desarrollamos en abierto, es decir, no nos limitamos a subir el código de vez en cuando, sino que todo el desarrollo se está haciendo ahí. Por lo tanto, abrimos la puerta a todo el mundo que quiera contribuir y participar a que lo haga. Y no sé si nos ha quedado justo, ¿no? Claro.
Para alguna pregunta, ha quedado para alguna pregunta.
¿No?
Uy, cuidado. Me has emocionado.
Pues muchas gracias.
Venga. Oye, míralo ahí con las bolas. Bueno, un aplauso para Tony, ¿eh? Perdóname. Perdóname que no es Toñi, es verdad. Oye, fíjate, ¿eh? El juego que está dando las bolas. Bueno, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estáis? ¿Qué tal lo estáis pasando? ¿Sí? Pues decirlo alto, hombre. Bueno, ahora vamos con otro speaker, con otro ponente, que es Brian Egan. Es desarrollador indie y autor del Flutter Cookbook. Así que un aplauso para Brian Egan.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much for having me. My name is Brian Egan, and I'm a web and Android engineer, and so I have a bit of a background with companies like Zappos in the United States, where I worked mostly on their websites. And then I moved over to Berlin, where I was working on their web app, working on SoundCloud's web app, and then Android apps as well. And about 2 years ago, I like Android. I'm not here to dig on it, but I really started feeling like I kind of missed some of the best things from the web, like really fast iteration cycles. And at the same time, I happened to run into this article about a new technology called Flutter. And Flutter is sort of a new way to build cross-platform applications. And so I really like the idea of building mobile apps. And so I thought Flutter was a really interesting new take on this. And so what it does is it allows you to build really high fidelity, really fast mobile apps that you can deploy to iOS and Android. And so if we kind of take a step back, I think a lot of folks, you know, if you're a native developer, you might think like, oh gosh, cross-platform, maybe not the best thing. But I think if we took a look as engineers at sort of the trade-offs that we get with each type of development. So if we think about traditional native development, right, you get really, really high-quality apps overall. And generally you get like really smooth animations, and the apps load very quickly. But there's some really interesting downsides, I think. And these are downsides that I felt firsthand working on large consumer-facing apps. And these downsides, especially if you're a small team, the first one is that you need to fund 2 application teams, right? So you need a team for iOS, you need a team for Android, and you have to pay all these folks. And especially for smaller businesses or businesses that are just getting going, this can be a real bottleneck, actually. The other interesting thing, and this is something, once again, we experienced firsthand at SoundCloud, is that sometimes our apps would actually look and behave differently than one another. And worse, actually, is sometimes the Android app was just a bit ahead of the iOS app. And so our users actually were missing out on functionality on the iOS app that the Android users had access to. And so it's sort of interesting in this way because you actually might have apps that are starting to diverge a bit in the functionality and the look that they provide. And so if we sort of compare that to third-party or cross-platform development traditionally, the really exciting thing about these platforms is that they really allow for fast iteration cycles. So I'm thinking about things like React Native or PhoneGap or Xamarin. Especially React Native, it's got hot reload, which just allows you to save your changes, and you can see these things instantaneously. And the other cool thing about these types of platforms is they generally allow you to deploy iOS and Android apps. So you're working on a single code base rather than working on 2 code bases, which, like I said, can have some interesting problems. Now, the traditional problem with these platforms is that you generally, or in some cases, can get poor performance. So especially for things like PhoneGap, which is really a web-based technology, but also for things like React Native. We actually had a React Native at SoundCloud, React Native app at SoundCloud, and we actually ran into some really interesting performance challenges there. The other thing is you might get non-native look and feel at times. And so I think React Native does a good job of this, but there, especially if you think about things like PhoneGap, it might not be quite ideal actually in some cases. And so Flutter I thought was really interesting because their whole goal is to actually combine the best parts of traditional app development where you get really high fidelity animations, really fast applications, really fast startup times, along with really fast iteration cycles. And you can generally deploy the same kind of code base to both iOS and Android. And so how does Flutter do this, really? And I think it kind of comes down to three things. The first one is that it allows you to create really expressive designs that work well for the platform you're building for. The other thing is, as I said, they really enable high-velocity development. And so as a developer, this is something that was really crucial for me. As I said, I kind of went from web to Android, and frankly, I really missed the iteration speed that you got when working on web projects when I was working with Android. And the other interesting thing is the way it works is that it makes Flutter actually really fast. So if we dig into these things, right, so we want expressive designs. And so I think Flutter has this really interesting, the team themselves, they've got a really interesting sort of idea, which is that you should never have to say no to your designer. Are there other like UI engineers, like web engineers in here that have had a conversation with your designer and you're like, sorry, I just can't do that, or I just can't make that happen? I'm not sure if there are those of you out there, but this is like a conversation we used to have a lot, unfortunately, when I was working especially with Android. And so Flutter has this new way to build UIs that makes it much easier to say yes to your designer. And actually, I think overall, this is something they're really achieving. The other interesting thing that the Flutter team noticed, and that this is actually something that really reflected my experience working at SoundCloud, is that they looked at the top apps in the Google Play Store and the iOS App Store, and they actually even looked at the apps that were winning design awards. And to be honest with you, they weren't that different. So these are all screenshots of different apps that are taken on iOS and Android devices. And I think you can see they look really similar in a lot of ways. And so what they realized is that, and this is something we were doing at SoundCloud as well, is that, hey, a lot of the time we're actually building almost the exact same user interface twice over. And that actually leads to just a lot of extra work, but it also means that you can't move as quickly as a team. And it also means that if you really want to express your own brand identity for your company and to give your users a really unique experience, maybe actually working with a framework like Flutter might be a really good idea. So the other cool thing about Flutter is that, you know, we want our apps to feel native in the environment they're on, right? So when you're working on an iOS phone or using an iOS phone, you want to have like bouncy animations when you're scrolling. You want to have the right navigation structures, and you also, of course, want the right fonts. And so those differ between platforms, right? And Flutter sort of allows you to express your brand identity, express the designs that your designers are coming up with, but it's still meant to feel at home in each environment. And the interesting thing also, I think, is that the way it's architected, it's almost actually like a 2D game engine. And so you can actually not only create really beautiful designs, but you can actually even create advanced like 2D effects. Like on the left-hand side, you can see a particle simulator. And on the right-hand side, you can actually see a full 2D game engine. And this would work across iOS and Android just out of the box. And so the way its model works, and the reason I'm showing this is that it's actually extremely flexible and allows you to not only create really kind of cool UIs, but you can actually create really advanced effects that also work out of the box. Now with high velocity development, like I said, this is one thing that I really, really missed moving from web to Android. Like on web, you can make changes and then Webpack will like recompile and you can do an automatic reload, right? On Android, especially, we had an app with like 300, 400,000 lines of code, and it would take, you know, anywhere from 20 seconds to a couple of minutes to do incremental recompiles. And so if you're just changing some text or you're changing some padding and you're just trying to make your app to come to life, it could be really painful. And so Flutter is really interesting because it has this concept of hot reload, which is similar and really just borrowed from, I think, React Native and, frankly, even older technologies. And so it's really cool because you can just make changes in your editor, hit save, and you just see it reflected immediately on the device. And this is like a game changer, I think, for mobile development. And I think like this is a really big deal for iOS developers as well, because I think they have similar challenges with compilation time. Now, it's interesting because this is Flutter is developed in a language that you might not have heard of or worked with, which is a language called Dart. But it's a kind of an interesting choice because Dart is actually what allows the team to actually make really fast production apps, and we'll talk about how that works in a second. And the thing about Dart is it also can work in what's like called a JIT or just-in-time compiled mode. And so this is how your app will actually run when you're developing it. It will actually like run a little Dart server or Dart VM, excuse me, and you just basically hit save. It'll send the code changes to the Dart VM, and it'll recompile instantaneously. Now, the nice thing about Dart is that it's actually, I would call it like sort of a boring language, but a very familiar language. So if you've worked with JavaScript, Java, Swift, Kotlin, these types of languages, I think you'll actually see that Dart is actually really easy to work with. And it's really interesting, actually. I think one of the other things that I didn't mention on this slide is that the Dart team and the Flutter team have actually been doing a lot of usability studies on the Flutter API and on working with Dart. And they found that actually Dart developers can get started really quickly with Dart. And so I think that's actually another way that they're enabling high velocity development. So I think there was a presentation on developer experience just a couple talks ago, and it's really interesting to me that the Flutter team is actually doing usability tests with developers to see how their APIs work, and they're improving and changing their APIs in response to those tests. Now, finally, as far as high-velocity development goes, you don't have to learn new tools, right? If you know Android Studio or Xcode or VS Code, you can even use Emacs. That's what the tech lead for the company for Flutter actually uses. He's like an old-school Emacs user, and he's just he uses it. And so the whole point of Flutter is that they really try to come to you. And so they ask developers what tools they're using, and they're trying to build really good tooling around these things. And so especially Android Studio and VS Code, you've got a really nice development suite out of the box. So I think as far as, I can sit here and talk about that, but I thought it was really interesting. And so I went looking for blog posts and seeing what kind of experience people had. And so one of the apps that launched first with Flutter was an app called Hamilton. And this is a musical in the US based on the President Alexander Hamilton. And the development team that built this is a development team called Posse. And they started writing an app, and within 3 months they were able to publish an app to the iOS and Android app stores with just a couple of different developers. Which is pretty incredible, actually. If you've done a traditional native mobile development, and this app is actually has a lot of features in it as well. You can do lottery systems and interact with the camera and all sorts of stuff. Another really interesting fact I thought, and these are some developers I met earlier in the year from AppTree, and they were able to have about 95% code reuse between iOS and Android. And interestingly, because Dart also compiles for the web, you can use tools like Angular Dart. You can actually get about 60% of code reuse amongst your Flutter and web apps as well. And because they were writing so much of their code in a single language, they actually found that they didn't need to spend as much time QAing. And so this is a really interesting fact. And they not only save developer time, but if you've worked in an environment where you have a lot of QA, the fact that they were able to save so much QA time is a big deal, actually. So, we're developers, a lot of us, and we think about the classic mantra, don't repeat yourself. And so I think that this is really an interesting case for mobile development, because we're essentially repeating ourselves twice by building 2 different apps. And so this is really cool because I think with Flutter you can build new features or improve existing features rather than working on just building the same thing twice. Now, the other cool thing about Flutter is that it is really fast, actually. So how is it fast? Well, in development mode, as I said, you have this just-in-time compiler. But when you're ready to ship your app to production, the Flutter tools will actually take your Dart code and compile it down to native ARM or x86 code. So you're actually running code on the hardware compiled for the hardware itself. So this means that you have really fast startup times. If you've worked with React Native, sometimes you might have noticed there's a little bit of a boot up time. And the other cool thing is that you get extremely smooth animations and other things like that. The other nice thing is that you can actually do some really nice platform integrations as well. So you can work with video players, or you can work with maps, or you can work with the camera. And I just do have to say a quick caveat. I am an engineer after all. The Maps integration is developing. It's getting better. It's not perfect just yet. So if you're thinking about developing a Maps-heavy application, Flutter might not be the best case for you. And also, actually, Fernando asked me about persistence. That's another story. I think that's developing. It's okay, but it's another thing that's developing. So yeah, Flutter is in beta, or actually just turned into release candidate. So there are a few rough edges still, but I imagine these things will be improved over time. And finally, one thing that I really like is the community around Flutter, actually. I think it's a really inclusive and really warm community. And so overall, there's a growing ecosystem of packages, and people are really willing to just jump in and help out on different channels, such as you can join the Gitter channel, and there's just a bunch of people in there asking and helping to answer questions. Overall, I think the actual tools that the community is building are getting better and better. And we're starting to see the platform mature a little bit. Even though it's really young, we're starting to see a really nice, really warm and welcoming community sort of evolve. So if you're interested in getting started with Flutter, I think there's sort of 3 different ways you could approach this. The first is just to download the tools and build up an app, just start from scratch. That's definitely a cool way to go. The other interesting approach, and this is actually the approach we took with our React Native app at SoundCloud. So the main SoundCloud app is full native, but we have another app that's for creators. And that app is actually originally written for Android, but we didn't find or have enough iOS developers to write an iOS version. And so the tack we took at SoundCloud was to actually write the iOS version with React Native. And you could take the exact same approach here. So you could write, so say you have an Android app and you need an iOS version, you could write that with Flutter. And then eventually, once the feature set is in place and once it's up to speed, you can actually even consider replacing your original Android app so that you only have to maintain one code base. Another option is you could try to embed Flutter into a normal app, like say you have a large native app already or a large native Android and iOS app. I think it's interesting. I think that's a possibility, but I think we've seen maybe from the community lately, like Airbnb and Udacity have published blog posts about this exact thing and the challenges of integrating native code bases with cross-platform tech. It's a possibility, but maybe not the best one. But overall, I think the first 2 options are actually really compelling and really interesting. So that's it for me. I hope you find Flutter interesting, and if you want to chat about it more, please come and talk to me during the nerd working. And if you want to get in touch with me, feel free to hit me up on Twitter or GitHub. I'm at Brian Egan. And if you want to get started with Flutter, I would say just head to flutter.io. There's really good documentation about how to get started with it, how to download it, and get developing your apps pretty quickly. So thank you so much.
Estamos de vuelta otra vez. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal el break? Bien, ¿habéis tomado muchas cervezas? ¿Tú, por ejemplo? ¿Te has tomado una cerveza? ¿Te has relajado? Estás con expectativas, ¿no? Vamos a continuar con el evento. Bueno, y ahora vamos a dar la bienvenida a Narciso Perales. Él es CEO de Orange Bank. Así que un aplauso muy fuerte para Narciso Perales.
Buenas tardes. Soy Narciso. Soy bancario. No soy desarrollador. En primer lugar, quería agradecer a Keep Coding la organización de este evento y sobre todo os quería agradecer a vosotros la tarde de un sábado estaros toda la tarde aquí escuchando cosas, algunas que son muy interesantes y otras que son, pues como la mía, que es momento publicitario, en el cual yo lo que quiero es convenceros a que os unáis a un reto, que os unáis a un nuevo proyecto. Quiero hablaros de banca. Banca no es la cosa más divertida del mundo desde el punto de vista de un desarrollador. Seamos realistas. Todos los bancos de España tienen una tecnología del siglo pasado. Todos los bancos del mundo, casi todos los bancos del mundo, tiras y te encuentras el COBOL. Te encuentras un precioso mainframe. Te encuentras algo que es muy sólido, muy robusto, pero hombre, ágil no es que sea. No voy a echarle todas las culpas de los problemas de experiencia de cliente de los bancos a la tecnología, ni mucho menos. Pero, hombre, el COBOL algo ayuda. Puedo decir que muchos años que he estado en banca, lograr desarrollar cosas, como os digo, yo soy de negocio, no soy desarrollador, pero poder hacer cosas distintas es tremendamente complicado. Los bancos ahora están todos metidos en una historia de transformación digital. Hombre, primero hay una cosa que me suena raro. Porque esto de digital en un banco, yo no conozco ningún banco analógico. Todos los bancos siempre hemos trabajado con dígitos. Y transformarse, un banco tremendamente grande, no ocurre. No ocurre. Son proyectos absolutamente gigantescos en los que, en el fondo, desde un punto de vista tecnológico, lo que es, quiero esconder el mainframe, meterlo abajo, meterlo muy abajo en el fondo, lo tapo con algunas capas por encima y digo que me estoy transformando. Ante esto, ¿qué se puede hacer? ¿Qué podría ser una forma distinta de trabajar? Pues, hombre, crear un banco desde cero. Pero esto es como un poco complicado. Hay algunas fintech que dicen que están lanzando nuevos bancos, que están lanzando neobancos, pero seamos realistas. Si una fintech pues tiene que pedir capital a los mercados, a estos venture capital que les ponen dinero. Si ya ponen dinero para hacer la tecnología, pueden tener dinero además como para adquirir clientes, pueden crecer lo suficiente. Si estáis viendo, la mayor parte de las fintechs se están convirtiendo en techfins. Se están convirtiendo en empresas de tecnología que se venden a alguna empresa grande financiera que tiene capital suficiente para desarrollarlo. Ante esto, yo lo que os vengo a comentar hoy es una cosa distinta, radicalmente distinta. Es que una gran compañía, la segunda compañía de telecomunicaciones más grande de España, la mayor compañía de telecomunicaciones de Francia, la mayor compañía de telecomunicaciones de África, que es Orange, ha decidido lanzar un banco. Y ha decidido lanzar un banco desde cero. Y esto desde cero es porque queremos aprovechar y tener una ventaja tecnológica. Queremos poder ser de verdad mucho más ágiles de lo que son todo el resto del sistema financiero español. Y del sistema financiero europeo, y ya os digo, sistema financiero africano. Vamos a poner las expectativas de dónde estamos. Estamos trabajando en una compañía nueva. Yo entré 25 de enero y no había nadie. Ahora mismo somos 40. Vamos a ser 100 al final de este año. Y lo que queremos ser es una compañía de 100 personas. Creemos que es factible, apalancándonos en tecnología, que una compañía de 100 personas pueda estar sirviendo a millones de clientes. Pero para eso necesitamos trabajar con tecnologías nuevas. Necesitamos, de verdad, creernos el Agile. Es decir, esta idea de, estábamos hablando antes algunos de los ponentes, de que todavía se sigue trabajando en Waterfall, porque los de negocio seguimos escribiendo cosas que pasan luego 6 meses después. Es muy difícil en una gran compañía que la gente de negocio realmente pueda empezar a escribir historias de usuario mano a mano con los desarrolladores. Eso no pasa, no pasa. Nosotros desde cero estamos construyendo esto. Pero necesitamos gente como vosotros que se incorpore y se enamore de este proyecto. De un proyecto, como os digo, que no tiene COBOL. Queremos ser, bueno, tenemos pequeñas ambiciones tecnológicas. Queremos ser a lo mejor el único banco de Europa que no tiene un solo rack. Es decir, que todo está en cloud. Que no tenemos un solo hierro. Y creemos que vamos a lograrlo. Hemos empezado, ya os digo, hace 2 meses hemos empezado a tirar líneas. Pues ya tenemos una pequeña app que está funcionando. Estamos trabajando desde el principio en Continuous Integration. El primer informático, María, recuérdamelo, pero el primero que entró fue un QA. Es decir, empezamos directamente con TDD. Desde el día 1 estamos empezando a programar de una manera moderna. Si no empezamos así, no vamos a lograr tener una diferencia competitiva con el sistema financiero, con los grandes bancos. Yo disculpa que no estoy contando una cosa tan interesante como la que han contado Chris o Kesia o Brian. Yo solamente os quiero presentar un proyecto. Un proyecto que es para que vosotros construyáis vuestro propio proyecto. Podéis trabajar en muchas consultoras, que son sitios maravillosos donde estar. Yo vengo antiguamente, hace muchos años, de una consultora, se aprende mucho, hacéis muchos proyectos, pero no hacéis vuestro proyecto. Yo lo que os quiero presentar es un proyecto de vida en el cual podéis trabajar directamente con gente de negocio y haciendo tecnología, la última tecnología. Es decir, disculpad si digo alguna barbaridad, porque ya os digo, yo no soy tecnólogo, pero estamos trabajando directamente en unos dockers en Kubernetes para, si nos queremos cambiar de un cloud al otro, nos podemos cambiar en 2 días. No creo que haya ningún banco en el mundo que esté pensando en este tipo de cosas. No creo que haya ningún banco en el mundo que de verdad esté pensando A/B testing no solamente para cómo estoy vendiendo, sino realmente en la oferta de productos. Que estemos haciendo un test directamente, desde el día 1 que nos creamos, que si vamos con nativo, con híbrido, con Ionic o con Flutter, y lo estamos probando desde el día 1, comparando experiencia de cliente desde el día 1 para poder elegir. Basado realmente en test and learn. Honestamente, yo llevo muchos años en banca y no conozco a nadie que lo haga. Creo que nuestro proyecto es tremendamente interesante. Es un proyecto con riesgo, es un proyecto apasionante, pero hombre, si yo estuviera en vuestro lado, realmente sería el tipo de cosas que me apetecería hacer. Y eso es lo único que quiero hacer, por eso os decía, esto es un momento publicitario. Lo único que quería es contaros, por eso no hay presentación. Hombre, también porque creemos que el poder corrompe y el PowerPoint corrompe absolutamente. Por lo tanto, no os iba a contar aquí un rollo de banca. Lo único que quiero presentaros es esta idea de que hay empresas en España que empiezan a hacer tecnología de última generación y que estamos haciéndolo desde cero. Y que el grupo OGANS, que es un grupo tremendamente potente, ha decidido desde España que lancemos esta plataforma para luego utilizar en el resto del mundo. Y que es un proyecto que puede ser interesante y que si os apetece, al final en este networking estaremos sentados allí y que tanto yo como sobre todo si queréis preguntar de tecnología a María o Samu, podéis estar hablando con ellos de qué temas estamos haciendo, qué cosas estamos haciendo por si os apeteciera uniros a este reto. Y yo sin más hasta gano 5 minutos respecto a lo que hay. Muchísimas gracias.
Un aplauso para Narciso, claro que sí. Bueno, ¿qué tal? ¿Estáis tuiteando? ¿Estáis concursando los sorteos que hay? ¿Estáis tuiteando? Tú, por ejemplo, estás tuiteando sobre el Google Home. No, ¿a que no he tuiteado? ¿Qué voz os gustaría para vuestro Google Home? ¿Quién? Sheldon Cooper, sí, muy buena. Mi voz favorita para mi Google Home sería el marciano de Mars Attack. Que a lo mejor le dijeras, oh, ¿qué pasa, Google? ¿Qué tiempo hace? Y te dijera, Oye, estaría bien, ¿no? Como voz de Google Home. Bueno, ahora vamos a tener a Katie Bauer, que es científica de datos de Reddit, el foro más grande del mundo, uno de los foros más grandes del mundo, no como Foro Coches, porque foro es igual pero sin trolls. Entonces, no se ponen todos de acuerdo para que gane Amaya, Operación Triunfo, ni nada de eso, pero va a estar aquí Katie Bauer. Y después vamos a tener a Carmen Rodríguez y Raquel Fernández de Walters People, ¿vale? Así que ahora un aplauso enorme para Katie Bauer.
Hi, I'm Katie Bauer, and I'm a data scientist at Reddit. And data science is a pretty weird job. About 10 years ago, no one was calling themselves a data scientist. You might have been a developer, you might have been a statistician, you maybe even called yourself a quant, but you definitely did not call yourself a data scientist. And that shows when people are writing job descriptions for data science. People will ask for tons of experience in distributed computing. They want you to be super knowledgeable about some obscure corner of conditional probability, and they want you to have been building deep neural networks since the 80s. Those people do not exist. We call them myths. We call them unicorns. And that ambiguity can be frustrating to deal with as a data scientist. But it's something that I'm actually somewhat used to, because long before I thought I was going to be a data scientist, I had a different plan for my life. I wanted to be a linguist. Being a linguist is also kind of like being a data scientist in that most people don't know what you do for a living. Don't ever ask a linguist how many languages they speak. They'll probably give you a very sarcastic answer. But linguists study language as if it were a natural phenomenon, like an ecosystem. And they're always studying patterns and trying to recognize them, something that's kind of like machine learning. But I didn't know anything about that when I first got into linguistics. The first thing that made me even think about it was taking a class called quantitative sociolinguistics. And that's a mouthful, but simply described, quantitative sociolinguistics tries to build mathematical models that describe how and why people talk the way they do. So, for example, you might build a linear regression model to understand whether someone was going to say something formal, like hello, or something informal, like what's up. And your input variables would be something like the gender of the speaker, their age, whether they're talking to their boss or their friend. And what you do with that model is then you extract the coefficients from the formula you've developed to understand what's important. That may not be that interesting to you, but I thought it was really cool. I loved the idea that I could turn language into a mathematical representation and plug it into a computer. It was combining natural language with a programming language, and I really wanted to explore more programming. So before I finished school, I ended up taking a ton of computer science coursework, taking computational linguistics classes, and learning a lot about natural language processing. And when I finished school, I did something kind of unorthodox. I'd been telling everyone for years that linguistics was my passion, but I didn't follow it. Instead, I followed my curiosity and decided that I wanted to become a computer programmer. I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area intending to work as a developer, and it was actually sort of hard to convince people that I could do it. I had a linguistics degree, and I had no work experience as a developer, but I was enthusiastic and ambitious, and I kept applying for jobs until eventually I did get hired by a startup. But here's the kicker. I got hired as a linguist. I worked for a natural language search startup that turned natural sentences that you might say to your friend into a search query and recommended things for you to do. And my job, as the linguist at the company, was to take those sentences, break them apart, and map them to a logical entity in the back end of the system. It was really fun, actually. A lot of it was pretty straightforward quality assurance, but sometimes something interesting would happen. For example, one day I found that the phrase German Shepherd was showing up as food in the back end. That was really bad. People were a little offended, so we had to fix it pretty fast. And it was one of my first tastes of how machine learning can go wrong. See, our system was recognizing a pattern. Whenever it saw German in a phrase, it would send something like German beer, German sausage, German chocolate cake. So when it sees this new word shepherd, it says, oh, German always goes before food items, so German Shepherd must be food. And once we found that, we figured out how to fix it pretty fast. And I was so fascinated by this. I love the idea that data could help power our product in that way, and that we could use it to drive a business. And that was when I realized I wanted to follow my curiosity again and take another new path in my career. I moved on to be an analyst and then later a data scientist in the advertising technology industry. Advertising might not sound very interesting, but it's actually a really cool space if you work in data. It's some of the largest data sets you'll ever get your hand on, and you actually get to solve really cool problems. One of my favorite things I got to do as a data scientist in ad tech was working on a system where an advertiser would give us a long list of products, sometimes 200,000 different products, and they would want to know what products they should group together to sell. That sounds like it might not be that big of a problem, but it's actually kind of hard, and you can only get so far with heuristics. For example, if you wanted to group together things by category and you put a bunch of bathing suits together, people would probably buy them, but you're probably only going to buy 1 or 2 bathing suits at a time. Wouldn't it be better if you could look at your product catalog and see a bathing suit and recognize a pair of sunglasses that matched, and a hat, and a beach towel, and you would have a perfect day at the beach? I built an algorithm that could do that with these long lists of products. And I combined everything I knew. I was using data about the prices. I was using data about the time of year that products were typically sold. I was using computer vision to match colors and patterns of products. And I was using natural language processing to take descriptions of products and figure out which ones were similar. People loved what we came up with. It planned their outfit for them, and it made their day. But a couple years ago, I decided I would take yet another new path in my career. I was approached by a recruiter at Reddit. Reddit was in a weird situation. It was a nearly 12-year-old company at the time that I started working there. And in that time, there had been very little work done on their data. And they wanted me to join their data science team as one of its founding members. And I couldn't help myself. I was really curious. I followed my curiosity again, and I became a data scientist at Reddit. And Reddit has been very different from my career so far. There's a lot of work that hasn't been done. The data is, while I've been there, we have moved it from an obsolete data warehouse into the Google Cloud Platform service. We've done a lot of transformation to get it usable for analytics, empowering business decisions, and empowering people to understand how people use the platform today and how they want to use it in the future. And I've gotten to do some pretty cool, sophisticated things too. I've done work to help understand the performance of recommender systems, to help people find new content on the site and understand where is their favorite part on the site before they even know. I've done some kind of silly things, like I've studied whether people spend more time looking at dog pictures or cat pictures. As much as it pains me to say, it is cats. I'm a dog person. But one of the coolest things to me is that now I am building mathematical models to understand how and why people talk on Reddit. I'm doing natural language processing, and all these years later, I've come full circle. Now I'm doing linguistics again, and I love it. And it's crazy that I got there by following my curiosity. Thank you.
Bueno, ¿estáis concursando, eh? ¿Estáis concursando o no? Claro que sí, recordad que sorteamos 10 entradas dobles para el Héroes Comic Con de Madrid. gusta esta música? Sí, muy bien. Que están microfonando a las chicas, pero ahora van a salir. ¿Cómo lo estáis pensando? Chen Mei, ¿qué tal? How are you? ¿Qué tal lo estáis pasando? No. Bueno, amigos. Creo que ya estamos. ¿Sí? No, todavía no. Tú, por ejemplo, ¿cómo te llamas? Vladimir. Oye, no tiene buena rima eso. No sé si te la sabes. Bueno, luego te las comento. Bueno, pues yo creo que ya están, ¿no? Yo creo que ya están. Las voy a volver a presentar. Porque ellas son Carmen Rodríguez y Raquel Fernández de Walters People. Un aplauso para ellas.
Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Lo primero, vamos a intentar ser lo más breves posibles, ¿vale? Porque ya llevamos bastantes charlas. Venimos a hablar de algo bastante diferente hasta lo que hemos visto hasta ahora, hablar de selección de IT, ¿vale? En concreto, selección de perfiles de desarrollo de software. Entonces, no sé si alguien conoce aquí Walters People o Robert Walters, que el presentador ha decidido dejarlo en casa.
A ver, no me puedo creer que nadie nos conozca. Seguro que hemos hablado con muchos de vosotros.
Somos muy pesados, ¿es verdad?
Sí. Vale. Bueno, a ver, el grupo Robert Walters somos una firma de búsqueda y selección de profesionales. Aquí estamos, pues, bueno, Raquel y yo. Yo pertenezco al área de IT dentro de Robert Walters. En concreto, pues, bueno, soy la responsable de los perfiles de desarrollo de software. De un equipo de más de 15 personas, en concreto mi equipo somos 5, pero bueno, llevamos perfiles de todo tipo, que seguro que vosotros pues sois de Big Data, de sistemas, redes, de management, de sales, de digital, y bueno, en concreto, como os decía, pues yo me encargo de la parte de desarrollo de software. Robert Walters, fundamentalmente nos dedicamos a perfiles intermedios y altos directivos, mientras que aquí mi compañera Raquel.
Nosotros nos dedicamos en Walters People a perfiles junior intermedios, ¿vale? O sea, al final, un poco la diferencia clave que hay entre las dos marcas es el tipo de perfil al que estamos orientados, ¿vale? O sea, nada tiene que ver hacer una selección de un perfil pues, de CIO, ¿vale? Que un programador Java de 2 años de experiencia. Ni a nivel de proceso de selección, o sea, es decir, la rapidez y la agilidad que necesitamos en los procesos de selección, ni a nivel un poco de las expectativas de los candidatos y un poco lo que necesitan y lo que están buscando, ¿vale? Entonces, yo soy la responsable, manager del equipo de desarrollo de software. En mi equipo hay 7 personas, ¿vale? Y cada una de estas personas está orientada a un lenguaje de programación en concreto. O sea, al final lo que intentamos también es estar muy orientados al candidato y conocer lo mayor posible el mercado fuera de que no seamos tecnólogos, ¿no? Que al final hacemos selección y sé que muchas veces nos gustamos mucho, ¿vale? Entonces, os empezamos a contar un poquito, bueno, las dos marcas, que es un poco lo que ya hemos hablado hasta ahora. A nivel de clientes, ¿vale? ¿Qué tipo de clientes estamos enfocados? Para que, al final, la idea un poco también es que veáis la visión desde nuestro lado y que veáis un poco a lo que nos dedicamos, ¿vale? A nivel de clientes, startups, 70% de nuestros clientes a día de hoy, ¿vale? Es un sector muy en auge, ¿vale? Es un sector en el que hay que estar continuamente seleccionando perfiles, sobre todo a nivel de desarrollo de software, con tecnologías bastante punteras. Nosotros nos orientamos mucho ahí porque también nos gusta, la verdad, o sea, nos gusta un poco conocer las compañías, entenderlas, ver qué hay nuevo en el mercado. Al final hacemos selección, pero somos personas, ¿no? Y también pues, nos gusta interesarnos un poco por lo que hay, ¿no? Y luego otro 30% pues a nivel de multinacionales, ¿vale? Al final hay compañías con las que llevamos trabajando más de 10 años, que lleva la compañía en España, y son multinacionales que demandan perfiles completamente diferentes de lo que puede ser una startup, ¿vale?
Vale, normalmente, bueno, dentro del área de desarrollo, que es un poco a lo que nos vamos a enfocar más, lo que más nos están demandando, tanto en empresas de multinacionales como en perfiles más de startups, es sobre todo, pues eso, perfiles de desarrollo en cualquier tipo de lenguaje, que ahora que los va a explicar un poco más, perfiles de QA también nos están demandando muchísimo y cada vez más, y todo el ámbito de operaciones, que un poco también, no sé exactamente qué persona hablaba de los DevOps antes, y también, pues bueno, es un perfil que desde hace unos 2 años pues nos vienen demandando muchísimo, ya no solo las startups que empezaron mucho por ahí, sino incluso ya grandes multinacionales, como hablo de Coca-Cola, del Banco Santander o de cualquier otra empresa, pues también cada vez más está incluyendo, por suerte, este tipo de perfiles y bueno, es un poco donde estamos enfocados.
Efectivamente, sí, porque además hablando también un poco y enlazándolo con el tema de los clientes, aunque trabajemos, pues lo que hemos visto antes, 70% con startups, conocemos el 100% de ellas. O sea, al final nosotros somos perfiles de consultor, o sea, es decir, no somos perfiles de recruiter, y lo que nos dedicamos tanto es ayudaros a vosotros como ayudar a las compañías. Entonces conocemos al final el 100% del mercado, o lo intentamos, ¿no? Quien nos deja acercarnos. Entonces, a nivel de perfiles que se demandan en las compañías para las que trabajamos, startups, a nivel de desarrollo, Ruby, Framework, Rails, Perl, Java, PHP, mucho en empresas de e-commerce, temas de compras online y demás. Frameworks que más utilizamos de PHP, Symfony, Drupal, Laravel, Magento. En mi equipo, por ejemplo, hay una persona que única y exclusivamente se dedica a perfiles de PHP. Al final, su día a día es solo PHP. Un día se me tira por la ventana, yo lo sé, pero bueno, intentaremos que nada más estáis sentada. Después, hay otra persona que solo se dedica a perfiles de Java, por ejemplo, el tema de Python, ¿vale? Que lo llevaría la misma persona que lleva PHP, y toda la parte de Node, que también está siendo demandada bastante. En frontend hemos visto que en los últimos 2 años hay una demanda brutal, o sea, se ha cambiado, ya el back ya no es tan cotizado como el front a día de hoy, ¿vale? Yo llevo 7 años en selección de IT, antes íbamos mucho más a back. En front, lo que más nos piden, Vue, React, Angular. Angular, sin duda, pues sigue siendo el rey del mercado, aunque la persona de mi equipo que lleva el front siempre me dice, jefa, yo creo que Vue lo va a petar. Bueno, pues luego nos lo contáis en el networking, ¿vale? Luego, perfiles de data, data scientist, data engineer, son perfiles también muy demandados en los últimos, sobre todo, 2-3 añitos, ¿vale? Con pues, tecnologías Scala, Spark y demás. Son perfiles que al final se demandan tanto en la parte de startups como de multinacionales, ¿vale? Movilidad, Product Manager. La parte de Product Manager la llevarían más desde el área de Robert Walters. Product Manager y UX, que al final es un poco también lo que se demanda a día de hoy junto con la parte de front. Vemos mucha demanda también de perfiles mixtos, ¿vale? Entre la parte de usabilidad y frontend. ¿Vale? Y luego la parte de movilidad, Android, iOS, perfiles más híbridos, pues también está bastante en auge. Multinacionales, los de siempre, entornos Microsoft, Java. Ahí seguiremos de por vida. Son los perfiles que más se demandan y Java pues al final es lo que también se estudia en la universidad y con lo que salen los perfiles más junior. SAP, Salesforce, toda la parte de cloud, ahora pues el Sibel ya creo que ha pasado a mejor vida, todos nos piden a nivel de Salesforce, Oracle Sales Cloud, bueno, tira un poquito, pero muy poquito, y SAP, grandes multinacionales que tienen presencia a nivel internacional. ¿Vale? Luego otra parte que tenemos también, que nos están demandando bastante, es software embebido. O sea, yo en todo el tiempo que llevo trabajando en IT no había tenido tantos perfiles de software embebido. Hay una persona en mi equipo que a día de hoy solo lleva esto, entornos industriales, programación a bajo nivel, C, C++, Python, ¿vale? Kernel de Linux y demás. Y la parte de Big Data que hemos hablado antes, ¿vale? que sigue siendo demandada en las dos partes, startups y multinacionales.
Bueno, aquí un poco, a diferencia de lo que cuenta Raquel, que seguramente vosotros sepáis mucho más que nosotros a nivel de tecnologías, en la parte de qué es lo que realmente nos piden los clientes y que nos parecía importante comentaros qué es lo que están pidiendo pues, grandes startups como pueden ser Cabify, Buguru, Deliveroo, etcétera, ¿vale? O sea, al final lo que piden es un perfil flexible y cada vez más. O sea, al final la evidencia de ello es las condiciones que están dando el mercado. Teletrabajo, trabajo constante con personas que están en otros países, diferentes usos horarios, posibilidad de entrar a trabajar cuando tú quieras salir, idem. Entonces, al final, lo que se pide es un perfil flexible, versátil y cada vez que se pueda adaptar más al constante cambio que significa, pues bueno, estar dentro del área de IT. En el área de trabajo en equipo, esto es creo que es cross a todo tipo de empresa, a todo tipo de perfil. En el área de competencias digitales sí que es cierto que los clientes que tenemos, sobre todo el mundo startup, cada vez más que demandan más que vosotros, pues seáis personas que no solo trabajéis en el trabajo y cuando lleguéis a casa desconectéis, sino que os certifiquéis, que vayáis a cursos, que vengáis a eventos como este, porque al final es un valor añadido brutal que os puede posicionar mucho por encima de cualquier otra persona que tenga la misma experiencia que vosotros. O sea que esto sí que es súper importante. A nivel comunicación no lo podemos dejar de lado, hay que poder pues tener esas habilidades de comunicación e interlocución.
Hemos mejorado mucho en los últimos años, también es verdad, pero...
Sobre todo porque, bueno, muchos de los que han estado aquí antes que nosotras son personas que vienen eminentemente del mundo técnico y que, sin embargo, pues bueno, el día de mañana podéis terminar siendo speakers o dar ponencias en cualquier tipo de entorno. En la parte de resultados, lo mismo que trabajo en equipo, totalmente cross a cualquier tipo de empresa a día de hoy. En la parte de liderazgo, muy importante. O sea, nosotros nos encontramos con personas que tienen 2 o 3 años de experiencia y, sin embargo, ya son líderes de un equipo de 5 personas y, bueno, pues porque han tenido un desempeño mucho por encima de la media con respecto al resto, y esto también es una competencia que se le valora muchísimo. Y ya, por último, la parte de la pasión, muy ligada a la parte de competencias digitales, que es lo que, de verdad os lo digo, os va a posicionar por encima del resto, porque al final todo esto, muchas de las empresas con las que trabajamos empezaron con un grupo de amigos que se juntaron con una buena idea y al final pudieron ir recabando, pues bueno, esos fondos para poder hacerlo patente esa idea y ponerlo y que marche adelante. Entonces, fundamental, pues bueno, que seamos conscientes de que estas cualidades son muy importantes.
Y que la actitud multiplica, no solo en IT, sino en cualquier otro sector. Entonces, es fundamental. ¿Cuál es un poco el resumen de todo lo que venimos a decir hoy aquí? 1, cambiar un poco la imagen que tenéis muchas veces de los recruiters de IT, ¿no? Que no somos robots, que detrás de LinkedIn hay personas reales, ¿vale? Y que también sepáis un poco la orientación que estamos teniendo nosotros hacia el candidato. Es decir, el sector de IT ha cambiado muchísimo y siempre se lo decimos a los clientes, cuanto antes lo entendamos mejor. Es decir, el candidato es el rey. Y al final tenemos que trabajar más para el candidato que para el cliente. ¿Quién nos paga? El cliente. ¿Para quién trabajo? Para el candidato. Entonces, al final, nuestra intención al final no es ser recruiters de IT como tal, sino que ser consultores. Saber qué queréis, cómo lo queréis, qué tipo de compañía queréis, qué tipo de proyecto y presentaros a las empresas que realmente están buscando ese tipo de perfil. O sea, hacemos el match un poco entre vosotros y los clientes. Y que lo veáis así, que al final no es solo a nivel de selección, de una entrevista y demás, sino que a nivel de, oye, Raquel, que nos pasa con muchos candidatos, quiero certificarme en algo que pueda ayudarme a tal. Pues le digo, mira, lo que se está llevando ahora es esto. Y al final es orientaros. Es que para eso estamos y para eso trabajamos 10 horas al día con esto, ¿no?
Sí. O sea, totalmente de acuerdo con lo que dice Raquel. Al final nosotros, con los candidatos, ha cambiado totalmente la forma de hablar con vosotros. O sea, de hecho, yo la mayoría de las veces ya nos vamos de cañas con los candidatos que nos cuenten pues qué es lo que se está pidiendo, qué es lo que les apetece, qué pueden querer aquí a un par de años. Y al final nos encargamos de eso, de incluso no tener ahora una oportunidad, pero te conozco, sé lo que quieres, sé lo que buscas y a partir de ahí, pues bueno, tenemos esa sinergia y gracias a ese conocimiento que tenemos también de llevar muchos años trabajando con... Creo que de las startups que están más punteras en España y a nivel internacional también, pues bueno, creo que ahí sí que os podemos echar una mano y podemos hacer bastantes sinergias todos juntos.
Efectivamente, y nada, pues que cualquier cosa que necesitéis, vamos a estar después ahí en la sala de networking y pues lo que queráis. Os dejamos un poco el contacto, ¿vale? Tanto el mío como el de Carmen. Como veis, ya intentamos ser un poquito menos corporativos, ya poner una foto un poco más de andar por casa, ¿no? No la típica con el traje y demás. Entonces, bueno, pues que quien quiera hablar con nosotros de lo que sea, de mercado, lo que haga falta. Así que al final a nosotros también nos viene bien saber un poco cómo se mueven las cosas, ¿vale? O sea, pues muchas gracias por el coñazo que os hemos dado.
Un aplauso para Carmen y Raquel. Gracias. Bueno, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo lo lleváis, chicos? Estáis concursando. Mira que os lo digo, que concurséis, que tenemos 10 entradas dobles para la Héroes Comic Con de Madrid. Foto más original. El primero que conteste a las preguntas en Twitter e Instagram. ¿Estáis contestando? ¿No estáis contestando? Pero bueno, ahora os propongo un ejercicio colectivo de Connect para ver si estamos todos conectados. Ahora quiero que todos cojáis el móvil, que tenéis que estar todos conectados y sigáis en Instagram a Álvaro Márquez TV, que soy yo. A ver si todos lo conseguís. Y no, de hecho es que mira, me voy a hacer un selfie con vosotros de recuerdo, ¿no? Así que mira, voy a dejar aquí las tarjetas. Así que venga, hacer como que os lo habéis pasado bien. Venga, ¡vamos todos ahí! Muy bien. O sea, sosos en sonido, pero bien, la foto ha quedado bien. Sí. Bueno, y la gala está yendo bien, no está yendo larga, como por ejemplo El Señor de los Anillos. Esa película sí que es larga. ¿La habéis visto? El Señor de los Anillos. Hombre, por favor. Es que no era más fácil, vamos a ver, no era más fácil que fueran las águilas, las aguiluchas esas, ¿os acordáis? Que iba Frodo y Sam a llevar el anillo al monte del destino. No podían ir las águilas, hay águilas, ¿no? Que Gandalf, el blanco o el gris, que no se sabe porque cada película hace un color, le dijeron a las águilas, ¡águilas! ¡Ah! Águilas, ir al monte del destino y me lo destruís, Venga, águilas, ¡ah! Venga, salí mañana por la mañana, a las 9, venga, todo firmado, todo compulsado, águilas, ¡ah! Pues nada, nada. Tuvo que ir Frodo y Sam, dos chiquillos que no están preparados dos chiquillos porque son 2 becarios de la Tierra Media, no están preparados. pero el que sí que está preparado es el que viene ahora, el chico que viene ahora. Yo soy muy fan, ¿eh? Yo soy muy fan del chico que viene ahora. Él es Chenmei Bakshi. Él es TED Speaker, es campeón IBM y el desarrollador más joven de IBM Watson. Él solo tiene 14 años y quiero que le demos un fuerte aplauso, una cálida bienvenida a Chenmei Bakshi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome. Hello, everyone. My name's Chenmei Bakshi, and my passion is to explore technology. More specifically, I love developing, working with, and implementing algorithms that enable our machines to think and reason for themselves, even though we can all agree that a computer's only capability is with mathematical information. In essence, I love to take a bunch of the different algorithms that take our human ability of being able to learn and quantify that into mathematics and apply them in fields where I believe they can make the most impact. But before I get into that machine learning technology, what I'm doing with it and how it can even help us as developers, I'd like to begin by saying a huge thank you to the entire team here at Keep Coding Connect 2018 for putting together this wonderful event here in Madrid, and also for inviting me to Madrid. In fact, this is my very first time in Spain, and I'm already loving it here. In fact, the reason that I'm here in Spain today is because I'm really passionate about machine learning and deep learning technology. In fact, as we speak, this machine learning technology is impacting hundreds of fields and hundreds of thousands of lives across the globe. In fact, we've all used AI today without even realizing it, from the simplest to even the most complex tasks. And the reason this machine learning technology is so powerful is because it enables computers to do things that even we as humans in some cases may find difficult. Like, for example, there are some skills that we humans are born with that sometimes we barely even realize that we have. Like, for example, we're all great at understanding natural language information. We're all great at understanding visual information. You understand that the eye on screen right now isn't actually like 2 meters across. You understand the perspective and the scale of that eye on screen. And we're also great at understanding auditory data. You can hear me right now because you have that ability. In fact, one more of the abilities that we have out of the many, many unique abilities that humans have, and one that you may not realize at first, is actually very uniquely human, something that computers have never and will never be able to do. And that is, well, coding. We're great at programming, we're great at developing applications, we're great at developing systems. And it might not seem like it at first. It might seem like developing is such an analytical, such a mathematically intensive task. But when you take a look at it, it's actually something that requires a lot of imagination, something that requires a lot of creativity. Because, well, unless we have the imagination to think of new kinds of architectures and flows and different kinds of applications and different kinds of algorithms, it's simply impossible for us to code in new applications and create new systems. But on the other hand, as we all know, computers are only good at crunching numbers. They're only good at running mathematical operations, albeit they can do so exponentially faster than any other human ever could or ever will be able to, but still, that's the only thing they can do. With machine learning, though, you can actually get kind of the best of both worlds. So you can understand unstructured data using the power of mathematics. This is the computer's greatest ability. And then, because machine learning is so flexible, you can apply it to almost any task. It's really just a set of mathematics that's used to build a numeric model, which can then transform new data that it's never seen before into predictions. So all we need to do is feed in data and the kinds of architectures and algorithms and support the machine learning algorithm on its way to learn. So we don't need to hard code every single individual conditional ourselves. And now computers can work with new data and make predictions on them. And then we can solve problems that we never could have solved before using this machine learning technology. Imagine the application in fields that actually have a lot of data. Like, for example, healthcare, which is the one field that I'm most passionate about. In fact, fact, I've created and I'm currently working on applications that enable us to detect depression even before it evolves into anything serious by using the power of machine learning so we can actually stop suicide even at the depression level. I'm also working on applications that enable us to provide a kind of artificial communication ability to those who can't communicate naturally. And the way I do this is by understanding their electroencephalogram brainwaves through custom deep learning algorithms that I develop. I'm also working on different algorithms that enable us to diagnose hearing disorders in much faster ways to help out audiologists. And the best part is that this specific kind of neural network is also going to provide justification for why it makes the decisions it makes, so audiologists don't need to double or triple check the AI's work. And I'm also working on a project with a startup in India that enables us to predict adverse events that people may experience to drugs even before they take the drug, and even if that specific person and that specific clinic or that specific chemical structure of a drug has never been tested in a clinical trial ever before. That's why machine learning is so powerful, and that's why I'm so passionate about applying machine learning technology. But before I delve deeper into another one of my projects and how I'm implementing AI in another field, there is one quick demo of an AI application that I'd love to show you all as developers. This application is called Bayou. You may have heard of it. It's essentially an AI assistant for your code. Now, of course, we've all used IDEs, we've all used coding autocomplete, but we know it's not really very intelligent. It's really just a string search or a string matching algorithm. That's all it is. However, with Bayou, you can take coding autocomplete to the next level by having neural networks using a custom machine learning algorithm called neural sketch learning actually guess what you are trying to code and code it in for you based off of nothing but a little description of what you're trying to get done. Now again, instead of me standing here and telling you more about Bayou and how it works, I'd love to show you a demo of the system in action. Let's take a look. All right, so now what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to switch over to a code window with the Atom IDE. You should be able to see this any moment now. There we go. Now, as you can see, of course, if you're familiar with Java, this is really, really, really simple code. In essence, all this is we're creating a class called input-output-demo. We have a main function that creates a new instance of the class. And here, I just create a new file, and this refers to actually the same directory that this code is in with the helloworld.txt, which is a file that does not exist yet. And then all I do is I call a write function, that's declared at the bottom over there. And what I do is I write hello world. This is a program developed in part by Neural Sketch Learning over to that file. Then I read the file and print the contents of that file out. Now, as you can tell, the read and write functions currently don't do anything. And so what I need to do is fill out this code. But I'm not going to stand here and code in a bunch of lines in front of you right now. Rather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this code over to this application called Bayou. It's completely open source, and you can download it if you wish and run it locally. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this into a little bit of kind of a replication of this class that I've created here. And now, all I need to do is go ahead and create a hole. This is what tells Bayou that this is where you need to fill in code. And all I'm going to tell it is add call readline. That's all I'm telling it. I'm not telling it which file to read a line from. I'm not telling it which types to use. I'm not telling it that you have to append those lines to the array list. But right as I click the magnifying glass, this is going to use a neural sketch learning algorithm. It's going to guess the different parameters that needs to go into, and just like that, any second now, you should see that it generates a bunch of code for us. And this is all generated by neural network. As you can see, I can then take this code, copy it, and back into Atom, and just like so, or in the read function, and there we go. I just format the code a little better. And then all I can do is actually deal with the exceptions. And so I can do something like file not found, there we go, or an IO exception. And now I've got a reading function. Then I can do the exact same thing for the write function. I'm going to take this back over to the class, and then again, I'm going to create a hole. And inside of this hole, I'm going to say call write. No other information. And it's going to guess that the file is what you need to write to, and the content is what you need to write. And so again, any second now, you should see that indeed it has created a new file writer, and as you can see, it automatically guessed that the file is what needs to be written to, and the content is what it needs to write. That's why machine learning technology is so powerful. I then go ahead and take this, copy it into my write function. I go ahead and deal with the exception. And there we go. I've now created a fully fledged Java application just like that. I can then head over to my terminal window over here, and all I need to do is run javac to compile just like that, and it compiled successfully. And now in theory, I should be able to do so. And as you can see, it prints out, hello world. This is a program developed in part by Neural Sketch Learning, and the reason it did that was because, as you can see, it created a new file with the contents I gave it and then read those all out through machine learning. That's why machine learning is so powerful. I hope you enjoyed that demo. And it's not just powerful in actually developing applications anymore and developing intelligent applications. It even helps you out as you're developing those applications to make your application development process that much more efficient. Again, I hope you enjoyed that demo of how it can help us out as developers. In fact, this by you technology is important because it enables us as developers to focus on what we need to focus on the most. And that is solving problems, developing applications that enable us to solve major problems using technology, and now using next generation technology like machine learning. In fact, there's an application in another field that I'm really passionate about, and the field is disaster preparedness. And there's an application that I developed that I'd love to share with you today, and it's called Tandro, which stands for Tanmai's drone. The entire point of this application is essentially to create a virtual co-pilot. I guess you could say an artificial intelligence-based co-pilot for you to actually pilot different kinds of vehicles, more specifically in this case drones, more efficiently through the power of natural language. So instead of you having to sit there and actually control buttons manually, you can give descriptions of what you want done to a chatbot, and it'll automatically try and understand the intent behind what you're saying, using the semantics of your language, not just the syntactics of it. And, well, why would this be useful? When I could control it much more precisely using buttons or an application, why would I want natural language? Well, think about this. Say you're piloting a drone to deliver medical supplies in a place that's actually currently under a natural disaster. Let's just say you're delivering this inside of or near a forest fire. Now, of course, a forest fire is a very unpredictable scenario. You could have branches falling down on a drone that you would never see because you as a human don't have nearly enough good of a reaction time to actually deal with that. Therefore, the drone will be disabled and cannot do what it's meant to do. But with the power of machine learning technology, though, you have microsecond level reaction time embedded onto the drone that can automatically steer clear of obstacles and get done what you want it to get done. This is how it works. And the entire point of the architecture that's being drawn out here is to enable users to control the drone from absolutely anywhere. Because I'm using the Twilio communications platform, meaning that I can make use of SMS data, meaning that no matter where you are, no matter which device you're using, as long as you have access to SMS and you can text your instructions over to Twilio, you can both get information about the drone through an IoT platform powered by Watson or powered by the IBM Cloud, and you can then go ahead and send information to the drone in completely natural language as if there's an actual human co-pilot there controlling the drone with you. And again, this is done through Watson Assistant and using the IBM IoT platform. And the entire reason that I developed this application is because it ties in a lot with an initiative that I'm personally very passionate about. The initiative is called the Call for Code. The entire point of this initiative is to bring developers from across the globe together so we can all use next generation technology like machine learning, IoT, blockchain, and maybe even quantum computing if you're up for it, and actually take this next generation technology and help out those who are being affected by natural disasters. More specifically, the 80,000 people that are affected directly or indirectly by natural disasters every single day. This initiative is founded by the Linux Foundation and IBM in partnership, and if you'd like to sign up, you can go to developer.ibm.com/call-for-code. And that's why I developed this application, and that's, again, why I'm really passionate about using machine learning to actually help us as developers to solve more problems. However, before I go today, There is one misconception that I'd like to clear, a misconception about machine learning that a lot of people have, especially once you took a look at the Bayou demo and now Tandro. You might be thinking, well, AI is meant to replace us. Machine learning is meant to overtake us, become more intelligent than humans, and eventually get to artificial general intelligence. But this is simply not true. Rather, the entire point of AI is that it was created by us as humans to augment our intelligence, really amplify our capabilities, and allow us to do things that we never could have done before. And that's why I believe we shouldn't be afraid of AI. Rather, we should be embracing it because it's going to empower us. Like, for example, with the Bayou demo, computers don't have imagination. They don't have any artistic capabilities. They don't have creativity. They're just hard-coded mathematical structures. And due to that, they're not replacing us as developers. Rather, they're enabling us to do what we do best: solve problems using code, using programming, but they're allowing us to do it more efficiently. And that's why I'd like to say that really artificial intelligence doesn't even just look like AI anymore. It looks a lot more like IA, intelligence augmented, intelligence amplified, taking what we're so good at, our unique human ability of learning, our unique human ability of intelligence, combining that with a computer's mathematical capability to get the best of both worlds and understand unstructured data at scale. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in today. That's what thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Un aplauso.
Thank you.
Un aplauso para Chen Mei. Congratulations. Nice to meet you. Bueno, pues tengo que deciros una gran noticia. Al parecer estamos siendo tendencia en Madrid en Twitter. Así que un aplauso para Keep Coding Connect. Está siendo un éxito esta gala. Bueno, os recuerdo lo de los sorteos. Estáis concursando que podéis ganar entradas y un Google Home. Yo os lo digo, lo dejo ahí. Que por cierto, el ejercicio de conexión de antes, bueno, me habéis seguido 7 de los 8. No sé cuánta gente puede haber aquí. Más conexión, Álvaro Márquez TV, @AlvaroMárquezTV. Muy bien. Bueno, estamos llegando al final ya del evento. Luego recordaros que va a haber un networking ahí afuera. Y ahora vamos con el último ponente de la noche. Él es Mikko Hyppönen, él es experto en ciberseguridad de F-Secure. Así que quiero pediros un gran... ¿No? ¿Todavía no? Bueno, pues me enrollo un poco más. Bueno, pero sobre todo deciros que está siendo un éxito. Al parecer en redes la gala, el evento. ¿Qué tal lo estáis pasando vosotros? Es que no os oigo. ¡Venga todos! Muy bien, ahora sí que parece que no tenéis que estar despiertos. Ahora sí, ¿no? Ahora ya estamos, así que ahora quiero pedir, por favor, es el último ponente de la noche, un aplauso muy fuerte para Mikko Hyppönen.
So my name is Mikko, and I hunt hackers. That's my job. And when I say hackers, I don't mean you guys. I mean the evil hackers. I mean the people who write the viruses, who create the Trojans, who spread the malware, who send the spam. The evil people who try to hurt us online. And I believe that we have now reached a stage where it's more likely for any of us to become a victim of a crime in the online world instead of the real world. Now think about that. Historically, if you've ever become a victim of a crime, it's been someone stealing your wallet or breaking into your house or stealing your car. And what's common with those criminals, real world criminals, is that they are close to you. They live in the same city as you do. Criminals from, I don't know, Sydney, Australia are not flying over to Madrid to steal your cars. If your car gets stolen, it's someone local. But we are the first generation in mankind's history that are living our lives both in the real world and in the online world. And the more we are in the online world, the more we are exposed to criminals who can be anywhere on the planet. Anywhere on the planet. So even if you live in a safe country on a safe continent, in a safe city. When you leave the real world and you go to the online world, now you have to worry about criminals who can be anywhere. And I've spent my life trying to understand online criminals, online attackers, evil hackers. What drives them? Why are they doing what they are doing? And what can we do about it? And I started this in the early 1990s. In fact, I carry something to remind myself of where I'm coming from. Some of you might recognize this. Some of you will not recognize this. This is the USB thumb drive of the 1990s. This one is a single-sided, single-density floppy which carries 360 kilos of data. Not gigas, not megas, kilos. And this is the way malware used to spread. When I started analyzing malware in 1991, this was what we were working with. And today it looks like a joke that something spreading on a physical disk could actually become a real problem, but they did become real problems. This particular floppy is infected by the form.A virus from 1992, which did go around the world, infect computers in over 200 different countries. And it was carried from every country to another country. It didn't spread over any networks because we didn't have networks. But today, the kind of attacks that we are fighting are completely different from these early viruses like form.A. Because in the early days, malware and viruses were being written by teenage kids. Teenage kids in their basement writing viruses for fun. That's what the problem used to be. And that's not the problem anymore. We're not seeing malware attacks coming from teenage boys in their basements. That's a tiny part of the problem. Today, most of the malware, most of the criminal attacks, most of the hacking cases, most of the data breaches are coming from organized crime. Organized crime groups running botnets, creating malware, and stealing our money. It's not the only group, but it is the biggest. Yes, we do have groups like hacktivists, like the Anonymous movement, which has been at some times more active and other times a little bit more passive. But movements like the Anonymous do break the law. They do hack into places, they do defacement, but they don't do it to make money. Their motive is not to steal. Their motive is to protest, or their motive is a political motive. And that makes them different from money-making criminals. But I suppose the biggest surprise to me over the years that I've been hunting hackers is that governments have become such a big part of this. If someone would have told me in the beginning of my career that eventually malware will be written by intelligence agencies and by militaries and even law enforcement units will be developing and deploying malware against their own citizens. If someone would have told me that in 1991, I would not have believed it. But that's exactly where we are today. That's exactly where we are today. Yesterday, US federal government indicted 12 Russian hackers for meddling into the US presidential elections in 2016, in which Donald Trump was elected as the President of the United States. And every single one of those Russian hackers worked for a Russian intelligence agency. They worked for the government. This is the world where we live right now. Intelligence agencies and militaries are heavily involved in developing and deploying malware. Why are militaries interested? They're interested because cyber weapons are effective, affordable, and deniable. Affordable, effective, and deniable. That's a pretty good combination in a weapon. It's a cheap weapon, but it gets the job done, and you can deny that it wasn't yours. There's very few weapons like this. Like if you send a B-52 bomber to drop bombs, it's kind of hard to deny that you did it, because it's right there and you can see the flag on the side of the plane. But when you do a cyber attack, you can keep denying it as long as you want. It's very hard to prove attacks and trace them back to where they're coming from. That's why the indictment yesterday is extraordinary. We rarely see investigations that are able to find the individuals behind governmental attacks. Most of the time when we find hackers, they are criminals who were caught because they weren't hiding the money, or we could follow somehow their movements, or they made errors or mistakes. Stupid stuff. But in most cases, governments are never caught. Most likely, the most famous governmental malware case was Stuxnet from 2010. And we all know who created Stuxnet. It was the government of the United States together with the Israelis. We all know this. But they still keep denying it. And there's no way to prove it. This is why governments are interested in cyber weapons. So we spent the last 60 years in arms race, the nuclear arms race. We're now sort of, I think we think we are out of the nuclear arms race by now. Cold War is over. But to me, it feels like that as soon as we got out of the last arms race, we jumped headlong into the next arms race, the cyber arms race. And the cyber arms race might very well be in its beginning. It might very well be that, it's going to stay with us for the next 60 years. Who knows? But in most of the cases, when you hear strong words about like cyber war or things like that, it's not really real cyber war. Most of the incidents which are labeled as cyber war in newspapers have nothing to do with cyber war. Because most cases where governments use online attacks are about spying, or it's about intelligence gathering. And spying isn't war, spying is spying. And if something isn't war, we shouldn't be calling it a war. But there are cases which are happening which are hard to define as anything else except cyber war. Let me give you an example. Last year, in 2017, we saw 2 massively large malware outbreaks. In May, we saw WannaCry, where the initial biggest infections were right here in Madrid, and then it went worldwide. And then, in the end of June, we saw Petya. WannaCry got the biggest headlines, but Petya was the most important case. Petya, which I believe was the single most expensive computer security incident in history. Most expensive computer security incident in history. More expensive than WannaCry or I Love You or Melissa or Blaster or Slammer or any malware case or any outbreak ever. More expensive than any hack ever. More expensive than any data leak ever. And the companies which got infected by Petya did not get infected because they were running old operating systems or unpatched devices, or were having users in their networks clicking on phony links or opening booby-trapped attachments. No. The reason why these organizations were hit was that they were running a financial software, a bookkeeping software, a piece of software which could be used to do bookkeeping and to file your taxes. Because on the 29th of June last year, the servers, the update servers of this financial bookkeeping software issued an automatic update, and that update was Petya. So if you were running this particular software in your network, you got infected automatically. The update was coming from the right server. It was signed. It was legit. And that's how you got infected. And the software in question is called MEDOC, and the software in question is developed in Kyiv, in Ukraine. Can we advance to the next slide manually? I think the clicker isn't. Here we go. Hold on. Yeah, now it works. Thank you. So this is the software. And in May, 5 different intelligence agencies all announced that they have evidence which proves that Petya was developed and deployed by Russian government, and that the target was Ukraine. This is Ukrainian software. It's only used by Ukrainian companies. It is the de facto bookkeeping software in the country of Ukraine. This is how companies file their taxes in Ukraine. You hit targets through this venue and you hit one country. And Russia and Ukraine are at war. Russia has attacked Ukrainian networks before, multiple times during this crisis. And this is now hard to label as anything else except cyber war, because these countries are at war. And when one part of a war deploys cyber attacks against another country during wartime, well, it's hard to call it anything else. However, this is not the story we heard about Petya last June or July when it was going. The story we heard about Petya was more of a story about things like cargo ships getting stopped by infections and companies, Western companies all over the world, fighting massively large infections in their networks. And these companies have nothing to do with Ukraine. Why were they hit? These are not Ukrainian companies. Why were they hit by Petya, which is, or was supposed to be, a Russian attack against one country? Well, even though these companies are not Ukrainian companies, they are global companies. They operate around the world. They all do business in most countries on the planet, including Ukraine. And if you do enough business in Ukraine, you have to file taxes in Ukraine. And if you have to file taxes in Ukraine, you do it with MEDOC, which means all these organizations had at least one workstation on their internal network running MEDOC. And if you had one machine in your internal network on the 29th of June last year, you got infected by Petya. So this was collateral damage. Collateral damage at a massive scale. And this is a good example on how the attacks are changing. Another big shift, big trend that we are witnessing has to do with money. Because money is changing. Money is changing into data. When you look at the attacks that we used to witness, say 2-3 years ago, money making was mostly done by targeting online stores to steal credit card numbers, or online banks with banking trojans to insert extra transactions, or with keyloggers to gain access to PayPal passwords. That's how you made money. Well, now we're seeing the very same attackers, the very same gangs, shifting their attacks to target, instead of banks, cryptocurrency exchanges. Instead of online stores, online wallets. Instead of phishing for PayPal passwords, phishing on Twitter to trick people into sending Ethereum into wrong addresses. And we're seeing remarkably advanced attacks. We've now seen 2 attacks where the BGP routing protocol was being spoofed in a massively large attack for the purpose of redirecting people to phishing pages. Now, BGP, Border Gateway Protocol, is a protocol which we've known for years can be spoofed, but it's very hard to do. And we've seen no real attacks against it. We've never seen attacks which tried to make money by targeting BGP. We've now seen 2 attacks targeting the BGP protocol, one against MyEther wallet and one against Trezor. Trezor is a physical Bitcoin wallet. It's used by people who have large amounts of Bitcoin. 2 weeks ago, when you went to the official website of Trezor, the real website, the real URL, some users were rerouted to a lookalike page, phishing page, which was in the right address, which told these users that there's been a security breach and now you have to do a recovery seed operation to safeguard your Bitcoin. Why are we seeing this trend? Because this money, virtual money, cryptocurrencies, they are already anonymized and already untraceable. That's perfect for criminals. When they hit traditional systems like credit cards, they can gain access to money, but then they have to launder it. Here they don't. And we had to worry about these things, these kind of attacks, for years and years on our computers. And the last trend I'll mention is the fact that these kinds of headaches are now following us into new platforms. Because computers are changing. It's not longer just about our laptops and smartphones and tablets. It's about everything becoming a computer. The IoT revolution will happen whether we like it or not. The IoT revolution will happen whether we like it or not, whether we play part or not. It's going to happen anyway. And the attackers are paying attention. We've been tracking attacks against connected devices for a couple of years now. Here's our timeline. And if you start looking at what starts happening around 2015, we're seeing more and more botnets, which are not infecting computers at all. Instead, they're infecting heat pumps and security cameras and smart locks. IoT things, things that you can't secure the way we secure our traditional computing devices, which is by installing security software. I work for a security software company, and I will promise you, we will never make antivirus for a toaster. All right? We will never make antivirus for a toaster. We have to find some other way of defending our connected devices because they do need defending. And at the end of the day, we can take all the security problems we've seen over the last 25 years, 30 years, every single one of the breaches and hacks and malware outbreaks, and we can divide all of these into 2 different groups. Technical problems and people problems. Technical problems or people problems. Technical problems might be really hard to fix, but at least we know how to fix them. In the end, they're just bugs. You fix the bugs, you update the system. But people problems are hard to fix. We have no patch for human brain. We have no patch for stupidity. And people do stupid stuff. People do stupid stuff. Stupid stuff like, I don't know, take pictures of their credit cards and post it on Twitter. And then, when somebody asks her that, hey, that's a nice card, what's the number on the other side? She answers. My friends, there's no patch for that. Thank you very much.
I'm an alligator. I'm
Un aplauso para Miko. Thank you very much. Qué bien. Bueno, pues ya estamos llegando al final, ¿eh? Estamos ya llegando al final. Qué pena me da. Me lo he pasado muy bien. De hecho, os diría que habéis sido el mejor público que he tenido en mi puta vida. Bueno, ¿qué? No, gracias. Sí, mira aquí. Oye, es el hooligan del humor, ¿eh? El solo ahí. Muy bien. Bueno, y ahora, antes de acabar, vamos a poner un vídeo con un evento muy especial de Keep Coding, que vamos a poder ver aquí. Ah, mira, ya está aquí preparado. Así, para muestra un botón. Así que aquí os dejo con el vídeo Guinness. Dan ganas de bailar, ¿eh? Bueno, pues ya hemos llegado al final. ¿Y qué os he dicho durante toda la gala? Concursar, participar, que hay sorteos. Y diréis, ¿quién ha ganado el Google Home? Pues el Google Home lo ha ganado nada más y nada menos. Ahora tenemos el networking, ahora podéis recibirlo ahí, la persona que ha ganado, en Twitter, que es @SamiJaimes, o James, no lo sé, porque, bueno, como pronuncio tan mal. Sami Jaimes M, Sami Jaimes Medina. Ella es la ganadora del Google Home, así que ahora ahí fuera en el networking lo puedes recibir en el photocall. Sí, un aplauso para ella. Y ahora, por favor, antes de acabar, quiero pedir a todos los speakers, a todos los ponentes, que salgáis al escenario porque vamos a hacer una foto final con todo el equipo de Keep Coding. Así que salir a la palestra. Y a todos vosotros, que muchísimas gracias, que nos vemos en el networking, que me lo he pasado muy bien. Y que... Ah, la foto, muy bien. Y nada, que me lo he pasado muy bien. ¿Has hablado muy bien tú también? Así que un aplauso para todos por venir. Muchísimas gracias. Todos. Miko.
I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Well, life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. So that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over. When I'm wiser.
Un aplauso para todos, porque han estado magníficos speakers. Ahí tenemos a Tony, que no es Toñi, que es Tony. Muy bien. Sí, a ver si nos podemos agrupar un poco más para la foto. Sí, muy bien. Yo me agacho. Yo me agacho con mis amigos de Accenture, que no es Adventure. Accenture. Momento foto, ¿eh? Pues cuando me digáis, ya está. Cuando me digáis. Cheers, cheers. Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Hasta el próximo evento. Gracias por venir a Connect. Hasta siempre.